two that come out. We can angle it so you can see the back. So I'm
We
becoming
could
a
self
self
barber.
barber. Yeah, I've not left COVID times.
Well, welcome to the SydeBoob podcast, episode 10.
Wow,
We're here.
we're doing well. We're doing well. 10. I mean, it took us 5 years to get to 10, but we're doing all right. That's like one every 2 years.
When you put it that way, it sounds awful. But we're here, and that shows
Well,
commitment. That shows commitment
yeah, and
over a very long period of time.
exactly. And if you put it into perspective, we've got totally different time zones that we're working with, and you've
Yeah.
got a family, I've got like drug problems, so you know, I'm joking about the drug problems, by the way. I don't
Yeah,
like,
no.
it's not a problem. I'm totally in control with it.
Right. That's not a problem if I want to do it.
Exactly, it's not a problem if I enjoy it, right?
Right.
I'm only joking. This makes me sound like I'm some mad crackhead or something. I'm not.
Well, anyway, welcome
No,
to episode 10.
yeah,
And I wanted to start the episode off, and I wanted to say two things. I wanted to say an I'm sorry and a thank you. And I wanted to
yeah.
talk to Mighty Mouse specifically. Say,
Oh yeah, definitely.
when we were talking about the GOAT conversation, I'm sorry. I didn't even put him in the GOAT conversation, and I feel like, what kind of MMA fan am I if I don't put him in my top five? So,
Exactly.
Mighty Mouse, I'm sorry. But also,
And
thank you
and
for
that
having an awesome career.
yeah. I also want to say sorry as well because everyone I put in the list was like 6 foot tall, whereas like he could have done it for the little men, you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
yeah,
and he
we
did it the
literally
right
said
way.
it. He did. Yeah, he left with a championship, one championship, and he left UFC on his own terms as well, which is very hard to do. Like
Yeah.
usually, like if you look at Francis Ngannou, the way how they talk about him, and I know he's made money and all that stuff, but the way how he's spoken about by the fan base of UFC and stuff like
Hmm.
that, it's totally opposite to DJ. DJ left and people started appreciating him more, which was
That was
great.
me. That was me.
Yeah,
Honestly, when
same.
he was in the UFC, I was like, he's beating nobodies. Like, like he's cleared out the division. Who cares? And he went to ONE FC and he had that loss. And I was like, you see, but then he
Yeah.
avenged his loss and defended the title. Like, he didn't get enough appreciation from me specifically. So, Mighty
No,
Mouse,
he
if you
didn't.
ever see this, I'm sorry, but thank you for an awesome
Same.
career.
Yeah,
Because
like, do you know what? As well, I wish he showed his personality off more when he was
yes,
fighting, because I watch his YouTube all the time,
the
and it's so funny and quirky, and like just kind of out there. Like it's quite extreme with some opinions and stuff like that. So I just wish he was more like that when he was fighting. I know he was probably trying to keep his bosses happy and everything, but
sure,
I
yeah,
actually think the UFC would have preferred that as well. You know what I mean?
yeah, and I think you're right because he does like do gaming and stuff like that. He's very interactive with his fans, and I think he would have made a lot more money in the UFC if he
Yeah.
had done that, and he would have been like, I feel like he was the before the Apex when they had fight nights that were on pay per view. Like he was always on like the main event of those non pay per view fights. Like they were in front of crowds still, but like it was always like, oh, put Mighty Mouse against some scrub and let him beat him up. Like
Yeah, that's it. And you know what? His skill set didn't warrant that either. Like
no,
it's the skill set he had was just like when you talk about all rounders, he's the guy you want to look at. Like the guy that can do it all. Like he's the one. Like the one thing I remember is seeing. I don't even know how to describe it, but the way I might describe it is like a flying armbar where
yes,
he flew into stuff. Like that was just incredible. Like I've watched that clip so many times because I think to think of doing that and positioning that guy in that way in
hmm
that time, like it's just
yeah, he
stupid,
just
really.
flipped over and pulled the guy down and boom, popped. That was fluid. It was nice. He was a
Hmm.
phenomenal wrestler. He had hands. He could go for days. His cardio was like unmatched in the division, even for little guy. He would out cardio all the other little guys, and never popped for steroids. He went to ONE FC where they have hydration clauses, and
Yeah,
still was beating up on people. So he did it the right way, and I appreciate that. Being a natural athlete and just like a student of the game, and he was always evolving. He never stayed. It wasn't like a wrestler. He wasn't just a jiu-jitsu guy. Like, he was very, very well rounded. So I can't believe we left him off the list, man. Speaking
I
for
know,
me
yeah.
personally, like, that's wild.
No, same. We literally said it, didn't we? Like the day later, we were like, "Oh, I can't believe we didn't even mention Mighty Mouse." Like how crazy
Yeah,
both of us. It's like doing a female GOAT list and not mentioning Ronda Rousey or Rose, Pug Rose. You know, because they're so iconic. You'd expect them to be at least mentioned. You know what I mean?
right. At least brought up, and like I said, winning the title in two different companies and defending the title in both companies. Well, in three different companies. Was he with WEC? I don't remember, but I know he fought Dominic Cruz and lost. But Dominic Cruz is much bigger than him, so like his
Yeah,
losses were to 135 pounders whenever he was 125 walking around and whatnot. So Mighty
yeah.
Mouse,
That's it. It's like
you earned your respect.
similar with Cejudo. You know, Cejudo was a lot thicker than him. Like, I think probably a little bit smaller, but he was a lot thicker, a
A
lot
lot
more
wider.
actually
Hmm.
wider. Yeah, so. You know, like when he did lose, he usually was disadvantaged, like similar to the Muay Thai fight that he had just leaving UFC, like
Yeah, that was
and which is brave as well, like to do that.
he. Wasn't it like a hybrid fight.
Yeah,
It was like a hybrid stand up, and then like yeah, it was, but like
it was
willingness to
strange,
try
but
anything, like willingness to
mhm,
do it. Like, who else did that?
exactly. And one thing that I want to speak about regarding Mighty Mouse, as I just look at my notes, is Dana White. Like we're going to speak about him every week. Every week we're going to be talking about a new lie that he's told or a new piece of fluff that he's doing. But now he's done an interview where he's like, I was his biggest supporter. You'd never find me saying anything negative about him. But yeah, there's so many occasions, like not even before he left, like years before he left UFC, there were so many occasions where they were negotiating things and stuff like that, and Dana White would just come out and crucify him every time. Like one thing I never understand about Dana White is he's a promoter, but he actively
Devalues his
makes
own
his fighters,
fighters.
yeah, which I've never understood that. I've never understood it.
Yeah, I don't either. And you would think the money thing would be promote all your guys as hard as you possibly could,
Yeah,
right? Like, you would think, but
exactly.
I guess we're not Dana White and multi-millionaires and running $1 billion company.
Yeah.
So what do we know, right?
Who are us to talk like? But at the end of the day, it's similar to the what we're seeing with John Jones and Ngannou now. Is I think when Ngannou knocks out Stipe or he knocks someone out, Dana White was giving it all. Oh, John Jones doesn't want to fight him. John Jones is more thinking about middleweight now rather than moving up and all this stuff. And now Ngannou's left. Now it's oh, Ngannou only left because he didn't want to fight John Jones. So what he is he's a good spin master. Like he's a spin doctor.
Yeah, but you can see right through that. Like, you
Yeah.
can see right through it, and everybody. I don't know. He gets called out on his stuff a lot, but he is a John Jones nut hugger now, so that's just his lot in life.
Yeah, it's like Tony Ferguson coined the phrase, John Jones has Dana White privilege right now, and and like that phrase has always stuck with me since. Funnily enough, it was when he was fighting my worst ever fighter, Chandler. Ferguson said, "Oh, Chandler's got Dana
Dana
White
White privilege.
privilege." Yeah, and I've always used that since Tony said it because like it's the best way to describe a fighter that's getting that bump from Dana. So yeah, shout out to Tony on that.
Shout out to Tony. So we're talking about Dana White. Why not talk about Dana White's Mount Rushmore? What
Mhm.
do you what do you think about him putting Rousey, McGregor, obviously John Jones, and
You know
GSP?
what? The more I thought about it, the more it makes sense to me. Like I did say, oh, it's just the people that made the most money for him, which it probably is if you rank the top four people that have made the most, it's probably them.
Right.
But maybe throw in Silver. But part of me thinks though, isn't that part of the company though? Is like McGregor made it way more appealing to Europeans. Like if it
Mhm.
wasn't for McGregor, the European market probably would still be like not as good as it is now. And then you look at Rousey as well, like she made it way more appealing to females, inspired so many females. So I
Yeah.
can see why they're on there. GSP, John Jones is can't argue against it.
Yeah, I
Like we
think
had a full discussion, didn't we, about GSP? So I'm
yeah.
not even gonna question that.
No, I think whenever I first saw him put Rousey on there, I think that was the big one for me. Like, really?
Yeah,
And then, like you said, the more you think about it, like the more it makes sense because literally, if not for Ronda Rousey, there wouldn't be a UFC women's division at all. Like literally,
yeah.
he did it because she
It's
was
like
so famous and so good.
that's
So
it. There'll always be women's MMA, but
in the UFC,
to be as big as it is now, even if it did reach UFC, it still might have reached UFC and still stayed under the kind of similar to the weight division DJ was fighting in. It always seems to not get promoted as well as the other ones. So it could have been like that, and we could have had Amanda Nunes eventually and people like that, but it might not seem so special. It might not seem so big and so important if it wasn't for Ronda, you know.
right? I 100% agree with that. It's the same for McGregor, and it's that he brought a whole new market, like the passion and then like the craziness of the Irish fans. Like they brought it like that Irish pride, you know, and
Yeah,
that brought a new enthusiasm and obviously multiple millions and potentially $1 billion worth of advertising, worth of pay-per-view buys and all this stuff. Like, what are the top 5 grossing UFC pay-per-views? I think McGregor's on 3 of them.
yeah,
So, like,
that's it.
I get
And
it, and I'm less mad
yeah,
now
and
than when we first talked about it.
that's it. And you know, even the Mayweather stuff, like if he didn't go over and do that with Mayweather, like I think the UFC as a brand wouldn't be as strong as it is right now because like that brought a
Different
lot of
eyes.
boxing fans over and stuff like that. So, you know, obviously the pandemic helped as well because you had people like me that wasn't massive on UFC, was quite a casual, and then the pandemic come along and it was like the only thing I was consuming because it was like the only thing that was constantly happening still.
Still going, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think obviously GSP. You can't argue with that. John Jones. I mean, you can argue with that one because of the drugs
Yeah,
and the run-ins with the law and the character issues. But as far as fighting, it's hard to argue against John Jones. Um,
that's it. Yeah,
but yeah, when I first saw it, I'm like, man, this guy's just a corporate, money making
I know.
shill,
Yeah,
like, and then you think about it, like, yeah, that's his
but
job.
part of me also thinks if he wasn't Glazing Jones right now, if just say we're 2 years ago and Francis is the champ of the heavyweight division, John's how many years ago that was, and John's just sitting on the sidelines. I actually think he would have booked Khabib there because of the Russian market and the Islamic market, because I also
Hmm.
think that's like very underrated. That literally having one of the most famous Muslim men fighting on your company is such a like Bilal. When Bilal won in Manchester, it was like 7 in the morning.
Mhm.
All the Muslims in Russia literally were parade in Manchester because they had one of their people win. You know what I mean? So I think Khabib could, under these circumstances, Khabib could be on there as well. Obviously, as a fighter, he's definitely on there. But
Mhm.
if we're just talking money and eyes generated, I think he could also be on that spot as well.
Yeah, yeah, and being that I'm not a part of that culture, and I don't ever even think about that. I mean, I like Khabib as a fighter, but I wouldn't say like just thinking about it. Was he a draw money wise? Because a lot of his
Oh
fights went
yeah,
to decision, and a lot of
no,
like
yeah.
he just mauled people. So what did he
Well,
really draw
look at it
money?
this way. Yeah, of course he did. Like, look at it this way. He's one of the most famous Islamic men in general. Like, just in general. Like, so to me, like those guys support each other. Like it's part of their culture to look after one another and all that stuff. So, and I'm not sitting here trying to claim I'm a scholar or an expert. You know, I've just lived amongst a lot of Islamic people, and yeah, like it might not seem it, but I'm pretty sure if you ask Dana who drew in the most money, who got the most like eyes on the sport, Khabib is definitely one of them because we're talking Russia supported him, and then we're talking the Middle East and like whatever. There's a few European countries that have a big Islamic like stable or however you want to call it. So yeah, I think he just generated a lot of eyes that we might not see on the internet and stuff like that,
Mhm.
but I think it would have shown on pay-per-view.
No, that's an interesting way to think about the subject because, like I said, I had a very very knee jerk reaction and was like, I got to tell you about this and see what your opinion was. And as I thought about it more, I was like, okay, fine, I kind of can agree with what he's
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah, same. I was the same. I was like, oh, this is bullshit. It's just people that are making money. It's not about fighting. But then I think about it, and it's like we're talking about a company, really. We're talking about a franchise. Who's the greatest person to ever work for this franchise?
Mm.
And Dana White could be in that list without ever stepping in the ring. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
like
definitely
some people could put
understandable.
in there, yeah, like some weirdos might even put someone like Earthy in there because of how long he's been there consistently as a referee. So yeah, it's to me, it's like who's McDonald's best ever worker? You know what I'm saying?
Right? So whoever brought him the most money, it'd be yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
No,
That's how I look at UFC. It's just
yeah,
a franchise, isn't it? So
yeah. I mean, it is, and then we lose track of that because it is a sport, but it's like
yeah,
money making, yeah, adventure, and it's got to turn a profit. And it's got to have its stars and people that it pushes to the moon. And we don't always agree on who's the best and who we want to see, but when the CEO of the company or the president of the company, whatever he um, is out there and he puts his list together, like maybe we should listen to it because he's the guy trying to make this company run.
yeah,
You know.
that's it. Yeah. Like this thing had an interesting one. I can't remember exactly who was on it, but he went more for like who were groundbreakers. So obviously Grace is on the list, and I think he put Chuck on there as well, and I think he put McGregor on there, and I think possibly Rousey might have been his Mount Rushmore. Could be wrong. Oh no, actually, I remember he had GSP and Anderson on there because he fought them both. Um, and then I think it was Gracie and Chuck. And Gracie was because he pioneered the sport, and Chuck was because of all the eyes he brought onto the sport. Because that's when I started rewatching UFC was the Chuck and Cito era, and
Mm.
obviously Silver was knocking about then as well. So like that era, like got me back into it, and then it followed on to Rampage and Evans in the same weight division. So that kind of sustained me watching for quite a few years. So I'll give him that.
Yeah. Like Gracie, it's hard to argue against Gracie because he did pioneer jiu-jitsu. He kind of brought that to the mainstream. Who in the West really did jiu-jitsu?
No.
Nobody. So, and then he was taking
As
on
a kid,
people who
I
are,
only heard of the Japanese one. Like, I didn't know Brazilians had jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? Whenever I heard that term jiu-jitsu, I thought it was like, I only heard of it through the Japanese sense, not the Brazilian sense.
yeah, that's interesting. And it just brought, like I said, the whole Western audience, their eyes on it. He was beating people twice his size with this weird break your arm technique. And Chuck, that was the guy. Just his unique look brought eyeballs. Like,
Yeah,
what the hell is this thing? This guy is out here, beating people up with a mohawk and you
that's
know,
it. Yeah,
and then like Tito Ortiz. That era was really when the UFC started to explode. So I can definitely understand
yeah.
why he put them on his
It's
Mount
like
Rushmore.
Chuck and Cito were like, if you could draw, if you've never seen an MMA fighter before and you want to draw one, that it would probably be similar to them too. That's what they'll look like and probably act like that as well,
Right,
because
some hybrid between the two with
yeah, yeah, because like they're both like thick, muscular, like both look tough and mean, but
brash in your
like
face. Like, yeah,
yeah, and like Tito had like that dumbness, like that. I don't know how else to put it other than dumbness. Like just
hey,
that
yeah,
like
it's Tito
you,
Ortiz. You don't really have to explain it. He's fucking.
that's it. I'm doing a Tito Ortiz now, trying to explain it because I can't think of the words.
It's
Like
only fitting.
yeah, that's the best thing. Um, if you ever want to describe Tito, just go Tito yeah, and then that'll do it. That'll
Yeah,
do
yeah.
it.
I got a brain injury. I cracked my skull.
Yeah,
This guy is wild. But speaking of UFC and speaking of Dana White, today I got hooked on something.
oh
Do you mind if I show a clip?
no, go for it. Go for it. Like,
I have been hooked today on some power slap, my guy. Tell me what
Speaking
you
of
think about power
brain
slap.
trauma,
Look at these things, man. Like, this is crazy. How do you just stand in front of somebody and just take it? Just boom.
to be honest, that's the one thing I look at as a skill. Like out of all of everything they do, the one
Mhm.
thing I look at as a skill is being able to stand there and knowing that someone's about to slap you and not flinch, not move, not like that's the
Just,
one thing that I'm impressed by it about. Like that's about it.
just slap the absolute dog shit out of you. And
Yeah,
you're supposed to just stand there and say, okay, yeah, no problem. And
it's like, go
just
on.
close your eyes and then and take it.
That's it. And what makes me laugh is I could see in that video there's a little training montage. Like I watched the first ever episode, I think, and it did focus heavily on in fact it was like a reality show. It's like tough.
Yes, that's what this
And
is. Road to the title. Yeah.
yeah, that's what I watched, like the first episode or the first two. And it was so funny to me watching them try and figure out how to train for this sport because none of them had ever trained for it or anything. So
Yeah, like
the
how do
first
you
episode or two, it was like, right, we've got to figure out ways to try and train for this.
it's like how do you like there's no way you can train to get slapped in the face and this guy breaks his orbital bone. Like it's crazy. How you can't train for that. That's insanity.
Yeah, like the one thing I'd suggest is like sometimes we used to get dizzy on purpose when we used to spar. We used to get like a pole, put our heads on it, spin round, get dizzy, and then we'd have to spar around under that conditioning, just in case we ever got wobbled or anything, and then you're kind of more used to being that way. So I
Yeah.
reckon like the only way of training really is get yourself dizzy and then see if you can stand still without flinching.
Yeah.
That's the only. I don't know how to train for this. Like it's so strange.
Yeah, I don't know either. And I was fascinated with just the toughness of the guys. And like it's such
Yeah.
a silly thing. Let's stand toe to toe and just slap each other as hard as you can. And it doesn't sound like it would be brutal, but it is
Oh yeah.
absolutely brutal. My guy.
No, yeah. I've seen people get knocked out of slaps like in real fights because
I,
like a lot of people that are trained and stuff, they don't want to damage the knuckles,
mhm,
so they would rather go for an open palm strike over a punch anyway because like your knuckles are so brittle, whereas your
mhm.
palm is quite
Quite
tough.
hard,
So
yeah.
if you can get like that doing most of the damage, then you've got all this cushion here. So it's a strange one. It is really strange. Like when I
It
first
is.
heard about it, I thought it was going to be like bare knuckle boxing. Like
And
I
just
thought there was going
slapping.
to be two guys, no gloves on, and try to get out of the way. And that I think would be really entertaining to be honest, because
Have you
like
ever? I don't know. You said you didn't get into MMA till a little bit later, but there was a company called Pancrase.
yeah, I've
They
heard of
literally,
pancakes. Yeah,
yeah, Pancrase. So they open palm strikes. That's all you were allowed to do.
yeah,
There's a
like the Dutch
really,
guy, Bas Rutten, he used to do that a lot. From what I remember, I think he was in pancakes, or if he
um,
wasn't, he adopted that style.
Bas Rutten would be one of the big guys. There was a really epic, entertaining fight between Bas Rutten and Frank Shamrock in Pancrase, and it's just like they're just slapping the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
Crazy. Entertain 45. What's up, man? You said Dana White used to be all about fighter safety. Power slap doesn't align with the Zuffa brand. No,
No,
because that's
no.
not player safety. Like
Let's be honest though. He has to say he's all about fighter safety, but the reality is he's not. Like, look at Conor McGregor. He let Conor. He said to McGregor, right, you broke your leg. Why don't you just retire, come out of the sport so you don't get tested anymore? Take whatever drugs you need, and then you can come back. Like to me, you wouldn't give that advice to someone if you cared like
he didn't
about
give that
someone else.
advice. He never gave that advice.
No, but you know what I'm saying. Like that's what the whole break was about, and I'm sure someone kind of told him,
Yeah. Oh,
give
yeah.
McGuffin a win.
Put that together already. Yeah. I think power slap is just so weird because again, it doesn't. Like he said, it doesn't really align with that branding. But at the same time, it's just like it's so silly that it's good.
Yeah, I get that. Like, again, I watched like the first two episodes, and there was a guy that was on meth or something. Like, he got drug tested, and he was on meth, and then there's another guy that was on coke, and he
Like,
got
let them
kicked out.
fight. I mean, why?
Yeah,
Why? Like, all you're
that's
doing
my
is
thing.
slapping each other. Does meth give you
Yeah.
more strength? Like,
Well, I mean, it probably does, and probably more resistance, but they're getting slapped in the face. Like, let them take whatever they want. Like, either
maybe
way,
it'll
they're getting
sober
brain
them up. But
damage.
you're
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
They already have brain damage.
yeah. Like, but part of me as well, like you do say, it doesn't line up with the brand. I totally agree with that. Like, um, it almost makes Zufa look silly that they're backing this thing, you know, because this serious sports thing.
Mhm.
I don't know if they're anything to do with buying WWE as well, but
Well,
they're very reputable companies that they own, and now they've got slap fighting. It's just
yeah,
so
I think
strange.
it's easy to say that from the outside, but like when you watch it, you know, the way that they're setting it up like the Ultimate Fighter. The guys
Yeah,
are in the house, they have rules, like you can't club somebody with like the fat of your hand here, it has to be an open palm. You can't hit them like in the neck or too high, it has to be here. So like there's like regulations and stuff to make it a bit more serious, but at the end of the day, you're just slapping the shit out of somebody. So like you can
yeah.
only
And also, I totally agree with what Entertain's saying there as well about Aljo, about the manipulation behind the scenes. Um, to be honest, I think they've been this way for a while, but they're just doing it more openly and more brash about it now because they know they're the ones in the power. It's like if Turkey Al Sheikh, who's paying for a lot of the boxing events, it's like if he wanted to do something like that, he'd do it openly because who's going to question him? You know, so yeah, I totally agree. They're becoming more open with it though, is what I think. Like the way how he kind of forced Aljo to take the O'Malley fight on short notice, kind of pressured him into it, made him believe that O'Malley's this big pay-per-view star. So it's like, oh, you might not ever get this opportunity to make this type of money again. So quick, take it. And then apparently since then, Aljo's seen the pay-per-view numbers and he said, actually, I didn't make much more than what I've made against Cejudo in the end. So
yeah, that I think we talked about that last week. The are we plateauing with viewership on these big pay-per-views, like these stars, these people who clearly have eyeballs on them? You know, you see that like people are watching, but like, are we kind of plateauing and people are going to tune in no matter what? You know?
yeah, I think that is part of it. I think they've got a base now
Mm-hmm.
where people like me and yourself, where we're tuning into pretty much every big event, no matter what now.
Now we're
And they've
watching
got,
Contender Series. We're watching,
yeah,
geez Louise, like well, now that we're kind of in the business,
trying
like we're
to
watching
consume it.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah, and like there's people that are religious with it, like will watch every Contender Series, every like Dana White looking for a fight, every like little kind of thing as well. Um,
And can I say, Dana, Hyde, if you want us to do that, just show us the money, brother.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'll be like Nina drama. I'll get my bum and boobs out and twerk around you for a bit. Like I'll ask fighters inappropriate questions that make them what. Like if it was me asking, I'll probably get a hole in my face for asking
Right?
these questions. But I'm willing to try it. I've already got brain damage.
I mean, think about the content. Hey, Muddy gets knocked out by Sean O'Malley or whatever it is, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Now let's lower it because Sean, it's a given. Like I should get knocked out by someone like Marab who never knocks anyone out. Now that would be even better. Or
oh,
Bilal.
man. Oh, yeah. Right, right.
You
Muddy
know,
gets KO'd by
this is
Bilal.
a good question. What would happen if Bilal and Marab fought to the death? Would we all die first?
Yeah,
Like,
the world would come to an end.
yeah, like that might be the signifier of the world ending. Bilal and Marab fighting because it's an
Oh,
endless fight. It's just never going to end. But by the way, Entertain, thanks for commenting. This is the first time
absolutely.
I've seen a live comment, so I really appreciate that.
Good. I'm glad you're able to see them, and that's good. I'm glad we have some eyeballs on the product. I appreciate that. Share it out. That would even
Yeah.
even better.
And also, if there's anything you want us to talk about, just drop it in the chat. We'll read it and then obviously we'll comment on it. So,
For sure.
Yeah.
And then, I am not opposed to bringing anybody on who wants to talk about some things, as long as I know, like Entertain, I've known for a couple of years just on YouTube and through Twitter. So anybody who wants to come on and we can talk some stuff, I'd be more than willing to do that too.
Yeah.
Just FYI.
I have a question as well.
Yeah.
How many how many former UFC stars do you think would ever branch over to slap fighting? You know, like we see with BKFC, that's quite unique and out there. And I didn't think we'd see many UFC or boxers go into that, but we have. Whereas with slap fighting, do you think any will got to do that? Like, I'm thinking
Uh,
maybe Tony Ferguson might be a bit mad enough to try it out, but
right. I did see Paige Van Zant did slap
oh,
fighting. Yeah.
I
On
could
one of the
see her doing it, yeah.
one of the most recent episodes, she won her debut. It was
Ah, no way. So
yeah.
there's that question answered. Yeah, see
So
that's interesting. Like if you get more people like her, then I can see like that bringing such a more casual audience because like a lot of people like Paige Van Zandt, you know. So
a lot of people like looking at Paige Van Zant. Let's be honest.
I'm not gonna lie, I give her like £5.99 1 month. Like I just wanted to see.
She
I'll
have
be
a,
totally honest. Hey,
uh,
she has a proper one. Like I'm not even exaggerating. Like I think she likes doing that
yeah.
because the stuff I was seeing, I was like, "You're a famous lady. You should be charging extra for this stuff." So part of me thought, I think she likes it. I think she likes flaunting herself, if that makes sense.
I think that she likes the attention because I mean, think about it, she's done bare knuckle, she's done UFC, now she's doing power slap. If she's doing
She's done Misfits boxing as well.
the Misfits boxing, like she's definitely Tim Sylvia was doing slap.
Oh my
No
God, I'd
way.
actually watch that. I would actually watch that. Like, that's
Tim,
crazy to
I am
think.
going to find that right now. Bear with me
He's a beast as well.
because
Like
he
he's a
is
big
a
guy.
giant.
Mate, like I thought he'd more go into BKFC than that. Oh, do you know, speaking of BKFC, Roy Nelson is doing that.
Oh no way.
Yeah, I forget his big country. Big country's doing it. I
Yeah,
think
big
he'd be
country
great
Roy
at it.
Nelson, man. I want to bring this up here, and we're going to watch this together if you don't mind. There he is, Tim
Oh,
Sylvia. Oh, put him down. Dude, look how big that guy is now.
I
He is
know, because
like
he's not.
super heavyweight.
That's it, innit? Because he's not worried about
Whoa.
like getting down to the weight caps. So I bet he was a beast now. I bet he's like £300.
Oh, he's definitely like up there. That's awesome. Thanks for bringing that to my attention because we were just talking like that is so cool. Like it's a thing. It's a phenomenon, and like I think I don't know if we were talking about it on the podcast or if we were just talking about it going back and forth. How Dana White always talks about the numbers and how much they're doing in revenue and like eyeballs and stuff, and it's literally everywhere, dude. Like it's crazy,
No,
and
it is.
I'm
It is
I'm
everywhere.
hooked.
I struggle believing that it's the biggest sport event because he keeps saying it's bigger than any other sport, and I can't. No, just Real
I,
Madrid alone. No, I wouldn't even say Real Madrid. I'd say one football player in Cristiano Ronaldo
oh
is
yeah,
more famous and gets more views than slap fighting. So I find that silly when he says that.
that's a good thing you said that because that brings me to a story I saw this week. I don't know if you saw it. Cristiano Ronaldo wants to start a YouTube
Mate,
channel and he wants to be the biggest. He wants to
he
overtake
already has.
Mr. Beast.
Yeah, he already has, and he's already broke records in his first day with subscribers.
Yeah. He's
But
like, I want to
I want to
be
talk.
Mr. Beast.
We're talking milestones, right? And this is what I thought you were going to talk about. Recently, he scored his 900th professional goal.
Okay.
Now, Pele was credited to scoring over 1,000, but that was in games like against the military and like basically friendly games have been included in that. Whereas with
Mhm.
Ronaldo, his whole career has been recorded from start to the end.
Yeah.
He scored, I think he scored his 901st in the last game. And like, so part of me, I want to look up, maybe someone in the chat could do this for me. Is there any football clubs within the period of Cristiano Ronaldo's career that have scored less than 900?
As
Like the
listed.
whole club? Yeah,
That is maybe that's something I can Google while we're talking. Um,
Yeah. And so while he's Googling that, I'll try and put it into perspective, right? So his career, I don't even think it's been 20 years yet. So to get 900 goals in that amount of time is just ridiculous. Like I think some football clubs would struggle with that. Like I fielding 11 different players every week, and he's gone and done that by himself. Like, and he's been doing it for big teams. It's not like he's done it for low down teams where he's scoring five against some little team. He's doing it for Manchester United, Real Madrid, Juventus, like all the big teams.
so this says Cristiano Ronaldo has scored more goals than 75% of Europe's biggest teams.
That's crazy. Wow.
He has scored
That
more
that
goals
just
than Manchester United, Tottenham, and Liverpool.
So he scored more than Manchester. He come back to Manchester United and scored his 800th goal. So, like, that's crazy. Like, you
You
know
were
what?
wondering.
Yeah, you know what's mad with Ronaldo, right? Is I actually think any sport he would have been the best at, like, no matter what. Like, his determination is like it should be studied because I remember him coming to Manchester United. I think he was 19 years old. He was this little lad, weird hair,
Yeah,
messed up
with the
teeth.
messed up teeth. Yeah.
Yeah, and the only reason I liked him was because he's called Ronaldo. I was like, right, Man United's got a Ronaldo. Like, I don't know if you know, but there's a famous Ronaldo before him for Brazil. So he was my favorite player. So when we signed him, I was like, I hope this guy can be half as good as the other Ronaldo. And he's surpassed him. Like people might say skill wise or whatever, he's not because the other Ronaldo got injured a lot. But I think that's part of it. Ronaldo doesn't get injured. Cristiano doesn't get injured much because he looks after himself, because he doesn't party, he doesn't do silly things.
Yeah,
Like,
every time I see him on interviews and stuff, he's always talking about discipline. He's always talking about like keeping his real friends like super close. He doesn't go out and do all the crazy stuff that other people do. So, hats off to him for that.
yeah, yeah, I'm glad you mentioned it because I didn't even put it in the notes, but I
Yeah,
think
that's
that
that's
should
the
be
beauty of the
celebrated.
podcast.
Yeah, like
And
that achievement is like if you told me when I was young that someone would score 900 professional goals at the top level of European football and at the top of international, I would have said, nah, he did that on FIFA. Like, it's just not possible. Thank you to Ronaldo for showing a new generation that it's possible as well, because God knows what this is going to spawn now.
yeah, I think it's going to. I mean, even for me, an American, like I know who Ronaldo is. I know, kind of how, like I have an essence of how great he is. Because here, we talk about two people. We talk about Ronaldo. We talk about Messi. Those are the only
Yeah.
two like international players we know of. I'm just going to be honest with you. Like I can't
No,
speak
yeah.
for all Americans, but I can speak for a lot of Americans. Like I know of like Thierry Henry because he played for the Red Bulls. Like I know of like
Yeah.
certain players, like that played for certain, MLS teams, but like who if you go ask somebody on the street who's the most famous soccer player in the world, Ronaldo or Messi. So
Yeah.
can you briefly touch on that because I don't want to spend like a million years on it, but what's your opinion on the Ronaldo Messi debate and why is
Um,
Messi like explain like kind of his aura too because you kind
so
of talk.
So Messi, right? So Ronaldo and Messi, I think it's a bit unfair that they get compared because they're totally different players. Like Ronaldo is a brutal poacher of a goal scorer, whereas Messi's the guy that dictates the football game. Like Messi, so if you ever watch a football match with Messi in it, for the first 10 to 15 minutes, he won't do much. He will just stand around and he will just look and observe and watch where people are running, watch where people are covering, and then he'll work it out and then he'll start passing the ball around and he'll control the game. Whereas Ronaldo, he needs a Messi. He needs someone like Messi that can get it to him,
That
that
can get
can
him to
know
the ball. Yeah,
football.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I've always found it unfair that they're compared because they're totally different. But Messi is unnatural. How good he is with football. Like Ronaldo, you can see he's trained for it and he's got himself better. Messi was born that way. Messi was born just being able to glide across a football field like he's not touching a blade of grass. Like it's like Sir Alex Ferguson said it about Ryan Giggs. He's like a whippet chasing a paper bag. Like it's just like, you know what I'm saying? Like the way when you watch a dog chase something, it's like natural, like the way I'll
Mhm.
glide across and move
Mhm.
with what I'm chasing. Messi's like that. He's so naturally good. It's hard to describe. He's like an alien.
So is he's more like the field general, kind of sitting back and then choosing when to strike, whereas Ronaldo would be like front lines, just attack, attack, attack kind of a guy?
Yeah, yeah. So don't get me wrong, Ronaldo can do that, and Messi can do what Ronaldo does. I'm not saying they can't do it, but yeah, Messi's what we call a playmaker. So he'll be the guy setting up the goals. He'll be the guy sending people down the wing or and stuff like that. Whereas Ronaldo will be the guy on the end of it, you know.
Gotcha. Can I? Your camera's kind of keeps bugging out a little bit. Can you like try to turn it off and like turn it back on again real quick?
Yeah.
And
Is
while
it
you're doing
listening?
that, yeah, for sure, just to see because it is kind of clearing up or kind of glitching out a little bit.
It's not even letting me turn it off now.
Yeah, okay.
Is it all right though? Or
Yeah, I mean it's like it's pretty bad. It's glitching out here and there, but I
alright.
mean we'll continue on.
Yeah, we'll just have to try and get on with it because it's not even letting me disable it.
Hmm. No worries. Okay, so one of the things that this conversation about soccer stars and football stars has brought us into is something that you brought to my attention that I had no idea about because I'm not in that sphere. Barclays men. Can you tell me what that
Barclays, man.
means and tell me kind of what we're looking at here?
Yeah, so it's kind of new to me as well, and I feel like I'm a generation above the people that are participating in this. But essentially, it's like I say 20 to 30-year-olds reliving their childhood through football by making compilations of not the best football players, but ones that just kind of had an aura about them, and then mixing them compilations with music from the FIFA football game. So it's like just pure nostalgia for these guys. But what I find funny is it's mostly about teams that are like not the best. So like Wigan, Blackburn, Wolves, Swansea. Like so I kind of find that ironic because usually you'd see nostalgia clips, and it'd be like Cristiano Ronaldo doing step overs or Messi like doing some mad skill or something. Whereas now it's just guys smacking a ball as hard as they can.
Yeah, I think it's what I saw was like a mixed bag of people who, they found their favorite player and just like their highlights of that favorite player. And like this is one of the guys you were told me about, like JJ. What is that? Akasha.
Yeah, Okocha. Yeah, so good they named him twice. He was one of my favorite ever players growing up. He played for Real Madrid before Bolton and stuff like that. And he actually, if you probably heard of Ronaldinho,
Yeah.
yeah. So Ronaldinho was young and he went to play with Paris, and an older JJ Kocher was already there, and he apparently he taught him a lot. So
So
yeah,
does he count as a Barclays man, or is that somebody
well
just?
that's why I think he doesn't, because like Barclays men are usually like the guys that are and not the most famous. You know, like JJ Okocha is probably a bad example as well because he's like quite famous in certain circles. But this guy is this John Carew.
Yeah.
Yeah, now he suits it way better because he played for Villa. I don't know if he played for an international team like Wales or England, but he was always good for his club. Like, but he was never special, if that makes sense. And I think a big part of it as well is like kind of masculine kind of dudes that are like willing to tackle and get themselves into a bit of trouble.
A little more tough than like our generation, like you said, is tougher than your generation.
Yeah, yeah, like that, I think that plays a part of some of it as well. Like Mitchu, he's another kind of good example because he had like two unbelievable seasons at Swansea where he just looked unstoppable for like 2 seasons. So everyone just remembers those 2 seasons. You just saw that goal there, like pretty special to do that first touch bang. And then you got his partner Wilfred Bronny as well. So yeah, they had a great little partnership, and it's one of them teams that if they were like your second favorite team of that time, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. I'm trying to find. Oh, that's JJ again.
Yeah.
You sent me one you wanted me to look for. What was the name? Remind me.
Well, I was gonna say Roy Keane, but Rooney kind of did
The
it
same.
for me because both Rooney and Keane are like tough men, like come from the old school way of playing football, but they managed to do it all the way at the top level. So they're kind of hybrids in this, I think.
So, would you say that you got all of your nostalgia fulfilled with the the Barclays men?
Not really, because most of them were in my 20s, so it
Okay.
made me feel old. Like, it just made me feel old. So I was like, these are getting nostalgic over things that, like, obviously it can be nostalgic for me now because I'm 35, well, nearly 35. But I think more earlier than that. Like, if you look at the football clips that make me nostalgic, it's grainy. It looks like it's from the 1980s, you know. So
Right.
yeah,
Yeah,
so.
that's one of the
It
things.
made me
Like,
feel old, but it also reminded me of that time because, funnily enough, in that time was when we thought football was getting soft, like ironically, and now the generation younger than me are looking back at that time thinking, oh, it's tougher than it is now, which I think is always going to be the case with football because it's always gets a bit softer. But
yeah, and
um,
that the funny thing about that is, whenever I used to work at a sporting goods store, like we'll say 2009, 10, somewhere around that area, and we would always have. I think it was the World Cup when
yeah,
in Africa somewhere where they had the stupid horns.
oh, South Africa, yeah,
Yeah,
Vuvu,
you know exactly what I'm talking about. So like,
Vuvuzela.
yes, the vuvuzelas. So before that, they were showing a lot of like they were airing a lot of was it UEFA? I don't remember, but it was a lot of like games were being showed here to try to hype up soccer because it's
Yeah.
not that, you know. And I remember there was this one announcer, he was a British guy, I don't know, but like every time Ronaldo would touch the ball, he'd like just yell at him, or like Ronaldo would like fake an injury.
Ronaldo.
Yeah, come
Yeah.
on, Ronaldo. Like,
Oh yeah, was he Scottish?
yes, I think he was. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
probably Andy Gray. That was probably Andy Gray. Like he
But
was an old player.
that's it's ingrained in my brain that he's like, oh come on, Ronaldo,
Yeah,
like because
like
Ronaldo would
funnily
like
enough,
fake an injury or whatever.
when Ronaldo first come to our league, everyone hated him. Like
Hmm.
everyone hated him. Even a lot of United fans hated him because the Portuguese are very competitive, so they'll try and get an edge anywhere. So if that means I'm rolling on the ground, acting like you've really hurt me when you haven't, you've only
Mm.
just touched me, I'm going to do that because I
I,
want the free kick. You know what I
I
mean? So
distinctly remember somebody was doing a slide and like missed his shin, but he was
he
writhing
was
in
like,
pain. Dude, I'm just
yeah,
like,
like,
this is
do you know
soccer,
what it
huh?
is though? Do you know what it is though? That they're not doing it to express pain. They're not doing it to be like, oh, this has really hurt me. They're doing it to get the referee's attention
Mm.
because the game goes so quick that it's so easy to miss. So sometimes you have to make a big deal to get
Yeah,
the free kick.
that's fair.
I wasn't brought up that way. In England, we were brought up to basically the saying, get the ball and get the man at the same time. So basically foul people. As long as you get the ball
I want to say
first,
touch the ball first, right? Yeah,
yeah, get the ball first and then follow through and crunch the leg. Like that's how I was brought up. So if
yeah.
someone did that to me, I wouldn't be like, I'd be thinking, right, I'm gonna get you.
Next
Right,
time
I'm
I
gonna
got you.
slide, yeah.
Yeah.
So and I'm not trying to be like, oh, we're tougher or anything, because when you look at English people of my generation and compare them to like the Spanish, Portuguese that come from a culture like that, all the Brazilians, they did way better. So,
Right.
and now we're
Who's to
seeing
say?
English guys do it. So it
Mm.
is what it is, really.
And I just want to take a second. I mean, we have like 7 people watching right now. I know not all 7 of you are following or
So
subscribed or whatever. Like, do that. That would be awesome. But so that I'm glad we got a chance to talk about that because it's trending. It's a big thing, and let us talk about Ronaldo, who's a huge name. So Ronaldo, if you want
Yeah,
to come on the podcast, like you want to break some records, take this little channel here that
exactly.
has 14 followers, and let's see how fast you can get it to 1 million. I mean, hey, you want
Exactly.
that challenge? Let's do it.
Yeah. Let's see if you can get us to 900 mil, like your goals.
Right?
But imagine just next week, Cristiano Ronaldo was just on the screen there. Just, hey, how you doing?
Right?
That would just be crazy, wouldn't it?
They just like, what would you say? What would you do? Like have 1 million
You know
people in the
what?
chat.
I actually do have something that would be to talk about. My auntie, she actually was his masseuse when he comes to United,
Okay.
and then when he left to go Real Madrid, he wanted to take her with him. So he paid for tickets to her and her son, who's my cousin, to go and watch his first ever game in Madrid. So I was insanely jealous. So
Oh yeah,
the
for
first
sure.
thing I'd ask him is, "Do you remember Sonia?" And who I won't say her second name, but I'd say Sonia, blah blah blah, and he'd be like, "Oh, black lady, yeah, she was my masseuse." And I'd be like, "Yeah, man, that's my auntie."
That's awesome. So I mean, we have all these ends inside the business with you. Like come
Yeah,
on, the podcast, come on, hit the follow button, share us out. Just, I mean, a simple retweet by someone of that caliber, like how insane would that be?
I
That's
mean that would just
that's
be it's a
goals.
career maker, isn't it?
That's
It's a career
goals.
maker. Yeah.
So
Um,
what is this? 2024 or September 11th,
oh
2024.
yeah. I just want to say, the miseries, or I don't know what to say, but I'm thinking of
I don't
all you
either.
Americans today because that was a dark day. But I remember that day as an Englishman. So yeah, I don't know what to say, but other than I'm thinking of anyone that was affected by that or
Mhm.
that still might be affected by it because yeah, it was a world-changing event.
Yeah, it was, and it was. I think I was in eighth grade, ninth grade, somewhere around there. Say jealous about the messages or the game?
Um, Massages, I think.
Um,
I think that's what he means.
yeah, yeah. Were you jealous
Well, to
about
be
getting?
honest. I was a bit jealous that she got to rub his legs. Have you seen his legs? Like they look beautiful. They look like they're made out of chocolate, carved out of chocolate and that. Would you not be jealous? Have you seen them calves? Like, imagine licking Ronaldo's calf.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Muddy Wolf. Here.
Yeah, no, that was him saying it. He's just doing a good impression. Nah,
Oh my
but
goodness.
I'm not sure what you mean the game, but
Watching the
I'm
game, were
jealous.
you jealous of them being
Oh,
able to go watch
yeah,
the game,
yeah.
or her being able to rub his
I
legs?
was incredibly jealous of them going to watch the game because I liked Madrid. I was always like Madrid was my second team, so and I don't think my cousin was that bothered about him. So he got to go and see him and all that, and yeah, I didn't. So yeah, insanely jealous.
No, that'd be awesome to be able to go do
My
that.
mum was jealous about the masseuse thing, though. I'll admit that.
That's awesome, though. I'm hopefully one day we can parlay some of these tangential connections into something meaningful. But entertain, thank you for stopping by.
Yeah,
Honestly, we're not going to take that for granted. We do appreciate it. You making the comments in the chat and stuff like that. That's much appreciated. One thing that we need to move on to is this is kind of a big week for the UFC,
hmm
kind of, and they're hyping it to the absolute moon. So I think they're in trouble. Like,
yeah.
have you taken a chance to actually just look at the fight card, like top to bottom?
I've not. I know Rouser's Junius is fighting. Um, I don't know how to say his name. Raul Rosas Junior. However you say that name. The
Yeah,
guy that
yeah.
looks like a Spanish king from the 1840s. Like you not think he looks like one of the conquistadors or whatever they were called.
Yeah,
I
he
don't know if
looks
that's offensive. I don't mean it to
Raul
be.
Raul Rosas. Yeah,
That's it. Raul Rosas Junior. I saw
yeah,
he was fighting. I
yeah.
saw.
He's leading off the prelims,
Yeah,
but then
but
like
like.
I,
He's
I
just
don't know
not
if you can
much, is he?
see. it's just,
And
I
like what
mean,
annoys me is, right, they thought this would compete with Canelo
yeah, they're gonna
on
get
the
smoked by
Mexican
Canelo.
Independence Day. Like Canelo's got Caleb Plant and Danny Garcia on his undercard. Like they're massive fights, like in the boxing world. That's
Yeah,
like the equivalent
Plant
of
is
having
really good.
like, yeah, I'd say that's the equivalent of having like Conor McGregor, who's like Canelo, and then underneath Conor McGregor is like having like a John Jones and like a Max Holloway, like someone who's big but not huge. You know what I mean? Maybe not
Yeah.
Max Holloway, but I'm just trying to think of good examples. But yeah, I
No,
think they're a bit silly.
I just don't see it competing. I mean, this is a good fight on the undercard, Irene Aldana and Norma Dumont. Like
Yeah,
that's a really good fight. But then you have like to coin a phrase, who the fuck are these guys? Like
exactly. Yeah, like you got Ronaldo there. Like hopefully it's Cristiano because
right. It's just,
like
I
that would
mean,
be impressive.
I get it. It's Mexican, to
Yeah,
celebrate Mexican fighters, so they want to put a lot of Mexican and Mexican American fighters on the card. But like, man, this is not going
I
to
actually
compete. It's
is
not
that
going to
right that
compete.
Diego Lopez is Brazilian? I always thought he
Yes.
was Mexican.
No. Yeah, he's Brazilian.
Right. But yeah, the only fights really that catch your eye are them three, are the top three.
Yeah. And these are the only three I
But
want to predict. That's
yeah,
it.
and
I
same.
mean, if you
Yeah,
if you don't mind, unless you want
no,
to go through the whole card.
I'm the same. I'm the same. Like I did what you did. I looked at the card and I thought, oh yeah, I'm gonna be able to just freestyle my predictions because I'll
Mhm.
know quite a few of the names.
Mhm.
I don't really know many of the names. Like, and I'm not the biggest casual. I'm quite casual, but I'm not exactly a massive casual to where the only people I know is like Sean O'Malley, John Jones. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I feel the same exact way. I'm like, I wouldn't consider myself a casual fan. I watch a lot of MMA, but like, I'm like, these guys, they're not even like good. They're not even like on
Yeah.
the, they're not ranked. They're not on the cusp of being ranked. Some of them are coming off losses. It's just like, why are we doing this?
I mean, and one of them's a trilogy fight as
Yeah.
well, like which I don't think we needed a trilogy. Alexa won two, so
Well, it was a
leave it.
draw, and
Oh,
she
was it
won.
an actual draw?
There was a draw, and Grasso won one. So
Right. So yeah, I can kind of get it now. I actually thought Grasso won both.
no,
Maybe that's just how I scored it in my head watching it, but
yeah, no, I agree.
yeah.
But
But
do you want to take a second, do predictions, and kind of just talk through your thought process? You want to go fight by fight, or do you want to do
yeah,
all
I'll
of them and then
go.
I'll do all of them?
Yeah, we might as well do all of them. So I'll start with Ortega Lopez.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go with Ortega. I don't know why. I just feel like that Lopez's last fight against what was the guy's
Dude
name? He come off. He
came in on
got
short
off his couch.
notice, and he was like
Yeah.
20 pounds lighter.
Was it Danny Ige?
It was, yeah,
Yeah.
Ige.
I think that would have dented his confidence a lot. Like
He
because
couldn't put Ige away, who's naturally lighter than him, coming in on
yeah, and he just
3 hours
literally
notice,
come.
basically.
Yeah, it wasn't like a day's notice or anything. It was the same day he got off his couch. So
And Ige,
part of me
put on a
thinks,
fight. So
yeah, and part of me thinks that might rock Lopez's confidence. And I think if you're not confident against a guy like Ortega, you're gonna get twisted up. Like, but yeah, so I'm gonna go with Ortega, but I wouldn't be surprised if Lopez knocks him out either. But I'm gonna go with Ortega. Maybe submission finish. I'm gonna go with. Um, Grasso versus Shevchenko. Shevchenko is one of my favorite female fighters ever.
mhm.
I love how she strikes. Comes from a kickboxing Muay Thai background, but I just think she's similar to Izzy, where I just think time catches up. Like I think Prime, she might look. If it was Prime Shevchenko, I'd probably be picking her, and it probably
Mhm.
look like a different fight. But Grasso's tough. Grasso's so tough, and her boxing is underrated in my opinion. Like she's very good at boxing, I think. So I'm gonna go with Grasso finishing the job and knocking her out.
Oh,
And for O'Malley. and Devashili, however you say that, Marab. Um, I know I should have just gone with Marab.
Right.
Um, I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go first round knockout from Shaw. I can just see Sean putting one straight through his guard and just putting him out like that. That's what my head says. I can see Marab taking it 5 rounds, but I just think Sean's timing's too good for someone that rushes in. So I
Very
think it's
good.
going to be an early one. Yeah.
That's an interesting. Those are interesting picks. I will say that. Um, I do have to say I agree with you on two. One,
Mhm.
I will contest you on. But so Ortega Lopez, I rewatched Ortega versus Yair Rodriguez today, and I forgot just how much damage Brian Ortega takes in every
Yeah,
single fight. Every single fight, he gets messed up
that's a good
in
point.
some way.
Yeah.
So that being said, I forgot how insanely tough Brian Ortega is
Mhm.
and how much heart and how much of a chin he has. So I think Diego Lopez is going to hit him, and he's going to hit him a lot. But I think he's going to probably gas himself out, and Ortega's going to submit him. Probably second round, I would say, maybe early third. That's my opinion. I think Ortega is just too tough. I think he's going to hang in there, catch him with something. He's going to make him tap. It's a gut feeling that I have.
Yeah.
Uh, with
Understandable.
with Grasso and Shevchenko, I think it's too personal now for Shevchenko. I feel like she got caught in the first fight, had the tap. Second fight was super close, split, draw, and I think it's way too personal for her now. And I would not be surprised if it was like a first round knockout for her. Like I think
Yeah.
she's so good, but like she hasn't put it together in a little while, and I think maybe this gets her to that point of just putting it all together and realizing like she's actually got a fight, and she
Yeah.
might just put a few combinations and just get Grasso out of there pretty quickly. That's just my opinion.
Hmm.
Grasso is tough, and she's a very good wrestler, so that could all change very very
That's
good
it.
easily.
And she's Mexican. Like Mexicans are hard to get knocked out usually. Like not saying every Mexican you can't knock out, but I would say that.
Yeah, I just feel like I feel that at this point Shevchenko's got to realize like she can't just cruise. Like
Yeah.
she was at the point where she was so good, she was just like kind of cruising and beating people. But Grasso isn't one of those people she can do that to. So she's really got to put it together. And if she does put it together, I think she could get out of there pretty quickly.
Nice. Nice.
And then O'Malley versus Marab. I agree with you, O'Malley, but I think it's going to be Sean trying to pick him apart, but Marab getting in on him, pushing him
Like
against the
busting
fence.
it.
Yep, pushing him against the fence, holding him there, trying to get him down, and then something's going to happen, and O'Malley's going to make him tap. I think just watching O'Malley recently doing a lot of jiu-jitsu training, a lot of like tournaments and stuff like that, he's preparing for Marab to get in on him and take him down. Like
Yeah.
he knows that's the game plan because he's not going to be able to stand up with him. He's O'Malley is too precise. So he's
Yeah.
going to try to get in on his legs, push him against the cage, and I think O'Malley's going to probably like slap on a triangle or something and make him tap. That's how I see it. And I don't think it's going to be a particularly long fight. I think it probably like second, third round, something like that, and Sean will take it.
Yeah. You know what? I actually think for O'Malley's career, a submission would be way better than a knockout. But I know it's at the Sphere, so probably prioritize knockout if you can. But
Right.
I think just to show that he's all round,
Mm-hmm.
like I think a submission against a guy like Marab would be perfect for his
Yeah.
career.
And I can just see it happening because Marab is going to try to get in close. It's,
Yeah,
like even in your prediction, you said he's going to catch Marab trying to get close, right? He's
yeah,
going to land something perfectly, hit him, and he's going to go night night. But he's going to get in on a leg or something. He's probably going to. I think he'll probably beat up O'Malley a little bit for the first round or whatever. But then once O'Malley kind of adjusts, I think he's gonna make him tap, and that's my predictions. Like them or not.
yeah. That's it. The ironic thing is, I picked every fighter I picked was not my favorite fighter, if that makes sense. So Shevchenko's one of my favorite female fighters ever, but I'm still picking Grasso against her. Like Marab, I prefer to O'Malley, but I'm picking O'Malley. And similar with Ortega and Lopez, I prefer Lopez, but I'm just going with Ortega. Like similar to what you were saying, like Ortega can take damage. Like we seen him take Volk. Like was it 5 rounds that fight?
Hmm.
Can't remember, but he took a lot of Volk and he gave Volk a lot back. He's
Hmm.
been in there with everyone. The only one that made him look proper amateur was Holloway. Other than that, he can
Holloway
take a
makes
lot.
everybody uh,
Yeah,
look silly because his
I
boxing is
mean,
so
yeah,
clean. So
he just made Gaethje look like a punching bag, which I didn't predict that in the
punching
slightest.
bag and
But
then spinning kick bag.
yeah, mate, those back spinning heel kicks with.
Those
I was
were
practicing them the
killers.
next day. Yeah, I was literally walking around work like spinning heel kick and stuff like the next night because I listened to it at work, and then I kept hearing I listened to it through a YouTuber, so I kept hearing him say, "Oh, that spinning heel kicks money," and then I was like, "I've got to watch the highlights when I finish." So I got home and watched it, and then when I seen him, just how easy he found to land that so often, I
Hmm.
just couldn't help but practice it.
Yeah,
It was just yeah, it was
it was
nice, man.
every single time Gaethje would get in close, he would kind of duck in and kick him right, bam, right in the freaking
Yeah.
liver. Those things add up, man.
It reminded me of John Jones, when John Jones he throws but then comes back round with the elbow. It
Hmm.
kind of reminded me a bit of that. Like it's
It was
clever, very clever.
clever, lightning fast.
He knows me. He knows me. God.
Oh, of course I know you.
What?
You're right.
Yeah, yeah. He's getting ready for bed, so
Trying to calm him down.
yeah. Yeah. But yeah, so I think, I mean, we're in agreement on 2 out of 3. Last
Yeah,
week, I was 0-2 on my predictions. I
I
picked
remember mine.
Gilbert Burns and I picked Jessica Andrade, and they both lost. And
Ah,
I think both of those guys, their time is done. Like Gilbert
you know
Burns,
that. Yeah, that's one thing I wanted to discuss. In fact, you wanted to discuss it. I put it in the notes, and then I thought, oh, actually. This is what I'd like to say about it. So you said you think Burns is done, right?
mhm,
Especially at the top level. I kind of think that, but then I think who's he lost against? He lost against previously, before this, he lost against Kamzat, who's renowned as this great prospect who's gonna win everything. And then after that was Bilal. So is he done, or has he just lost against real good opponents?
no, I think he's cooked. I think after he fought Usman, like that was it.
Yeah,
I think it took his confidence because he had um, Usman hurt. He had
yeah.
him like where he wanted him and couldn't finish the job.
Hmm.
So, and then he loses to Sean Brady. Like, who is this Brady guy? Like, I was looking at his fights. His
I thought
biggest
you'd
fight
like it.
before that, his biggest fight before that was Kelvin Gastelum. Like,
Yeah. Well, who did he lose to? He just lost to someone as well. Bilal. He just lost to Bilal as well, Sean Brady.
yeah. So Bilal, this is Gilbert Burns. He lost to Bilal. He lost to Jack Della Mandel, whatever the hell his name is.
Oh yeah, Jack. He's good in that Della. Oh, I forget his actual name. Jack
Yeah,
Della something. He
yeah.
is good in.
But like he beat Masvidal, okay, and he beat Neil Magny. Like these aren't exactly world beaters, Like he,
Yeah.
like I don't know. I feel like he's almost 40 now. He's losing to guys that are on the way up, like Jack here, like Brady. Like these guys are coming up, and he's coming down. And I didn't see like that drop off being that dramatic because I always thought he had really good combinations. I always thought, he was tough. He had jiu-jitsu. He could take you down if he needed to, but I just haven't seen it recently. So I do think that Gilbert Burns is washed, man. That's my humble opinion.
No, I do too, to be honest. But I also think it says as well how good this division is at the moment. The fact that the reigning champ has beat Gilbert Burns, and well, I don't know, but to be honest, I think UFC it gets to a point where the top five gets too old,
Mhm.
and because they've all fought each other, so five has fought one, and two has fought three, and four, so like I think that gives you a false sense of these guys are the top five. But
Mhm.
all what they do is hold on to that ranking and just fight each other. And I think like you've seen it with Usman and Leon, where as soon as like someone's a bit younger and a bit more hungry starts coming up the rankings, like Usman with Kamzat, and then you look at Leon with Bilal, and I know Leon was piecing Bilal up in the first fight, but at the end of the day, I think I think that seems to happen. It's happening at lightweight as well. I think with like Gaethje, Poirier, like those two kind of seem to just fight each other and fight like Chandlers and people like that, and just kind of stay in that top
Mhm.
five.
They all fight each
Whereas,
other. Yeah.
yeah, where there's probably guys just below that are probably like a lot better, but not getting that chance. I thought Fiziev was going to be that against Gaethje. I thought Fiziev was going to show like Gaethje's not at that level no more. But
He knocked him out cold.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And Entertain said that betting on UFC is hard, which, yeah, we make predictions for every card, and I think I
yeah,
am 2 in like 8. Not
yeah,
very good at it because I feel like I bet with my heart more than my head because I always tend to go with my favorites, and you're kind of going against that this week, so good luck to you. And he also said that the champs are a bit lankier than Gilbert Burns, which is true. He's shorter and
I agree.
stockier, and he has a
Yeah,
lot of muscle on him, so that's very true.
yeah, he's very thick though, Burns, isn't he?
Oh
He's a
yeah,
thick boy. Like, but yeah, I think that comes into it as well. Is like maybe he is undersized for the division because I think he used to fight at lightweight at one point, didn't he? So
yeah. I'm not
that's
sure.
crazy to
I
think
just know
about now.
he's super thick, and he's kind of like you said on the shorter side. So
Yeah. So what I was thinking as well. So we did briefly touch on Canelo versus the Sphere, but I find it so ironic with the Sphere, like how they're trying to use Mexican independence and they're also trying to use the Riyadh season, whatever that is.
right.
And like, what next? What are you gonna cram in next? Like, we've got Halloween coming up. Why don't you call it the Halloween card as well? Like, just go all out, man.
It wouldn't surprise me. Do you remember back in the day where they used to name their pay-per-views?
Yeah,
Like
like
they should just
UFC
bring it back.
Vengeance.
They should just
Yeah,
bring it
yeah.
back.
You know what this one should be called? Atmo.
UFC 306 Atmo.
Yeah. So then you can write Sphere next to it. Atmosphere. You know.
Atmosphere.
Yeah. Um. Because do you know what? That's what worries me about the Sphere as well. Is the atmosphere within it. Like, are
Yeah,
people going
we
to
were
be
talking
too
about that.
caught up with the screens and all this jazz and like
And not only that, but
who they're attracting?
it's like, how is it going to be set up? Number one, but number two, they're going to show like mini movies in between the fights. They said
Yeah,
like
that is going
about
from
Mexican
the dawn
fighters and
of
stuff.
men all the way to the future of Mexico. So I want to know what kind of future they see for Mexico. Like,
Maybe,
I'm trying to imagine how would Dana White write the future of Mexico? Like, it's got to be dystopian, hasn't it? It's not going to be nice. Like, Dana
I'm
White's
sure
probably one of them, like,
it'll probably
close the
be like
border guys.
8 training centers in
Yeah.
like outdoor arenas, big like a coliseum with a
Yeah.
octagon in the middle.
Yeah, like Mexico will just be owned by the UFC. Like, that's the future of
That's his
Mexico.
future he's looking for.
Yeah, Dana White runs out all the cartel and then creates his own cartel with UFC fighters to
Right. But
continue.
then everybody in the stand is just all like rich white guys.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
no
So
Mexicans around.
it's
It's
the
just
opposite to the wall. It's like, let's knock the wall down because we want to go to Mexico. Like, we want to pay for these big cars in Mexico. So let's knock the wall down. Like, it's getting too hard to go there.
yeah, but okay, with that screen in the background could be something iconic for years. Oh,
No, it could be.
absolutely.
But I
Could you
mean, the KO
imagine?
itself would be, like, that's my whole point is if you need if you need the whole area around the ring to make it look better, then it's not that good, is it? What's happening in the ring isn't that good. So, whereas I think UFC is good enough to where, especially someone like Sean O'Malley can provide these kind of highlights, which obviously will look 20 times better with that big screen and all that. But
Mhm.
either way, like so O'Malley's knockout against Aljamain, that wouldn't have been made any better or any worse by the Sphere, I don't think. I still think it would have looked awesome, either way. Like using McGregor as an example against Aldo, like if he did that, what he did in the Sphere,
Mhm.
it's iconic anyway. You know what I mean? So if you're doing something
Yeah,
iconic, it's going to be iconic anyway. I'm not just trying to disagree with you for the sake of it, but that's kind of where I land on it.
yeah, but at the same time, 20 years down in the future, if you have that knockout shot with the big screen in the background with the bigger fighter, and then like it's
Yeah.
that, like 20 years in the future, they're
Oh
gonna still
yeah.
be using that clip, that
Oh, of course,
photo
yeah.
for all of their promotional material. So I think that's
Do you
what
know
he's
what I
trying to
think they
say.
should do? I think they should play Conor McGregor throwing the dolly through the bus in the Sphere. That'll be really iconic. Or play like John Jones smashing his head off a police car. Go, I hate you. I hate you. Like, let's get all the iconic UFC moments on that Sphere. Like, maybe like New Year's Eve a few years ago where Dana's slapping up his wife. Like, put that on there. Like, don't sue me, Dana. We're just being fun.
Yeah, but I mean, it really happened. So nobody
Yeah,
ever
it's not
talks
even.
about that. That's weird.
I know, yeah. Kind of got brushed under the carpet, that one, didn't it?
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
So
Well, do you know what's funny, right?
no, go ahead.
That happened the week before Slap Fighting launched. Did you know that?
I feel like I remember that, but I don't. I don't want to like think that I remember it and then be falsifying my memory. But I feel
Yeah,
like there was something about it.
it was either like the same month or the same week that the first one was launching, and I just remember thinking,
Is
have
this
they done
publicity?
this as the perfect promotion? Like, because you say Dana White slap, for 1 week it would have been about his wife. A week later, it would have been about slap fighting. You know what I mean? So it's almost like perfect in both ways. It's perfect to brush that under the table, but also to promote it at the same time as well.
Yeah, that's. I do like. I feel like I remember that, but again, I don't want to. Maybe it's just I don't know, a false memory. But yeah, that it's kind of perfect how that would have lined up, right?
Yeah,
And
and that
like I said, getting brushed under the table and kind of pushed to the side, which brings me to another topic I wanted to talk about. But if you want to finish up your thoughts on this before we
no, I
move
was
on,
just gonna say Rampage's truck on the sidewalk. Like I think you're referencing when Rampage went on a rampage when he drank Red Bull and went on a rampage in his truck. Yeah,
yeah,
that would be another iconic one. Yeah,
just big screen or like remember when he tore down the door on Tough?
yeah, on stuff. Oh, one of my favorite things is when he talks about Joe Rogan and he's like, "Jiu-jitsu guys," like that one always makes me laugh. Like just play that, get Ryan Hall to fight, and then just have Rampage doing that on repeat in the background.
Oh man, but so sorry. We were talking about Dana White stuff getting kind of dismissed and pushed under the rug. It made me think of another topic we wanted to cover, and that is Doctor Disrespect.
Oh yeah,
Like Dana White's not allegations, clearly on camera slapping the shit out of his wife. Everybody kind of forgives him for that. Doctor
mm.
Disrespect, on the other hand, we still don't know what the fuck's going on with that. Like, what's your
No,
opinion kind of on what's going on? I know this isn't exactly MMA,
yeah,
combat sports, or anything like that, but it's topical, and I feel like we just got to talk about it.
no, yeah. Like if anyone's coming here thinking it's just MMA, it's not. We are gonna cover like the odd bit of like YouTube and news or streamers or whatever. Mostly to generate clips, partly because it's part of, like, I'm not going to lie to you, but partly because it's like part of what we're doing, and to be honest, and early on, we were around people similar to Disrespect and Mr. Beast and all that, so, I think it's always going to catch our interest. But it's a weird one. It's almost like Twitch didn't like him and found a reason to get rid of him. Texting
Did
minors is what he's
did
accused of, right?
did you watch the
But
comeback stream at all? Did you
I,
catch
I
any of it?
watched a YouTuber kind of talk about it, if that
Okay.
makes sense. So for all I know is he got in trouble for sending a whisper, which is like a DM to
Hmm.
a minor. But
Yes.
apparently it wasn't sexual. Or well, I don't know if it's been released what it entailed.
Not that I'm aware
But
of.
but he's saying it's not sexual. It was just kind of like a broad chat. My opinion on that is I just wouldn't message a minor anyway in any private sense. Right. So you already deserve to kind of get sacked for doing that because you just shouldn't be in a private room with a minor. However
Hmm.
you want to see the private room, whether it's an interactive internet room or if it's a physical private room, like you should never be private with a minor. Like there's no need for that. Anything you can say to a minor, you can say in the open.
Hmm.
Um, but the way I look at it is the difference of how people have responded to it is when the stuff with Chris Tyson, Ava Tyson come out. Anyone that was saying anything about it was getting called a transphobe, was getting called this and that. And
Hmm.
then other stuff come out about Mr. Beast himself and who he hires, like how he's surrounded by kid abusers basically in his company. And if you pointed that out, it was like, oh, it's just a mistake. He would never do that. No, I
Hmm.
don't care. No matter what you do in your life, you will never do as much as Mr. Beast has done for other people. Whereas because disrespect, Dr. Disrespect, he isn't this guy that's like pretending to give to charity. He's not, he's disrespectful. Like, it's in his name.
Right.
I think people were very quick to just go, oh yeah, he's definitely done that, bang, and just threw him away. And like I found that very interesting. I don't know if that's like political, maybe
Yeah.
like the right support disrespect and the left support beast. So it's like, you
I think
know,
you've hit the nail on the head there. I feel like, I mean, we've talked about this before. Um, it's almost a taboo to say anything about what happened in one case, and then in the other case, it's like accused, no evidence, and
mhm.
it's just a weird one, man. And then when you come out and he has a big return to YouTube, and he's talking about, well, I didn't do anything wrong, so I'm back. Like
Yeah,
it was just such a nonchalant return,
it was kind of
and
strange because, sorry to cut you off, but in the UK, like if you do something like that, you can go prison for a few months. Like, I don't think it's long enough for a few months.
mm,
But to me, it almost seemed like he served a prison sentence and come back, like real quiet, or like was on like home arrest or something, and now he's back able to be in public. You know what I mean?
well, here's what I say: if there was enough tangible evidence, he would have been 2 years ago. Whenever Twitch, released him from his contract or whatever, there would have been police involvement, but there
Yeah,
wasn't. So it's just weird, and I just wanted to talk about it just a little bit. I know it's kind of off topic from what we normally talk about, so
no,
it's
I mean, I think it's
it's a
worth.
touchy subject, man. It's such a touchy subject.
Yeah, maybe not. Don't use the word touchy with this one, but it's a very touchy subject. Stop touching these subjects, please.
Yeah.
But that's the Queen. That. Will you stop touching my subjects? But no, what annoys me about the whole thing is just the difference in how the internet
Yes.
responded to it. Like,
Yes.
was Mr. Beast is holier than thou. You can't say anything bad about him. You've got to make sure there's evidence and all this before you say anything about him. But
Mhm.
with disrespect, it's like, oh yeah, we'll just take your word. Yeah, yeah, he seems like that type of guy. Yeah, let's cancel him, let's attack him. And I'm not saying he shouldn't be, or I'm not saying either one shouldn't be,
And
or either one should be.
the weird
Go
thing,
on.
it was third party information, right? It was some guy
Yeah.
who allegedly worked at Twitch. I know the secret to why he was banned. And I think I remember something like, if I get like 1,000 subscribers on my
Yeah.
band, like it was something silly he was trying to do, like get these followers or something. I'll release the reason why you know, and it was all
Yeah.
so self-serving and like just kind of gross. And like me personally, like I condemn both. Like I
Yeah,
condemn
exactly.
dastard disrespect. I said that is awful. If that's what you're doing, you're messaging minors and having these inappropriate conversations, even if it wasn't sexual, like that's fucking gross.
Yeah.
And then the
It's
Chris
almost
Tyson
grooming.
thing, it 100% is. And
Yeah.
the Chris Tyson thing is it's the same thing. It's grooming. It's gross. Like I can't. I'm pulling a Tito Ortiz right now. It's just so gross. Like
No, yeah.
it makes me like Entertain said that you don't believe either side in the disrespect thing. No, because there's three sides to
That's
every
it.
story. One
Yeah.
side, you know, there's always
And
something
like,
in between.
it's all entertainment. Sadly enough, like, and I hate saying it because we're talking about something real serious,
Mhm.
but it's all entertainment at the end of the day. It all generates clicks, all
Yeah.
generates views, and all this stuff. So, like, touching on what Syde said, that's what's annoyed me about the Mr. Beast thing as well. Is I saw one of his former workers do this big expose video
Mhm.
about this guy that they called Delaware, and he was called Delaware because he was banned from Delaware for sexually assaulting, or I don't know, essaying, sorry if this gets put down for me
We're
saying
on
that,
Rumble. We're
we'll
fine.
cut it out. Yeah, but essaying, an 11-year-old when he was like 16 to 18, right?
He
But
was an
then
adult. Yeah.
yeah, and then this person doing this expose was like, "Oh, we all knew about this for years," and it's like, "I'm sorry, but fucking say it." Like, I
Yeah.
live in a country with a king, right? With an actual king that can behead me. I will say on camera right now, his brother's a paedophile with no fear, right? So why can't you do that against your king? You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's because he plants trees and he gives water to
Mm,
Africans.
yeah,
But
that's the annoying thing, bro. It's
that
like,
I feel like that one was way worse than the whole Chris Tyson thing, and
oh
I feel
yeah,
like Muddy needs subtitles. Hey Cal, how you doing, brother? Welcome. Appreciate you being here. Um, but like the
yo,
Chris
blame
Tyson
bastard.
thing, the Chris Tyson thing was gross, and you were messaging minors and like having inappropriate jokes and stuff like that. That's fucking awful. Like that's so gross. But Mr. Beast
Hiring.
hired a pedophile
For a
and made him a
TV show.
manager
Yeah.
for kids entertainment.
And you know who else, right? Is COO is a guy that works at this like proper raunchy like nightclub where it's proper like it's just real sexual.
And
And I
there's like
think this
abuse
guy might have been
allegations
done.
for women. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
and men. Apparently he's assaulted men, this guy as well. And it's like, why are you surrounding yourself with these kind of people? Like, you're
and
actively going out your way to hire people that can kind of maneuver this stuff. So,
yeah,
what are you trying to maneuver from?
there are 7 billion people in the world. How big of a corporation is Mr. Beast?
Yeah, just
What a
in
few?
case, I just want to say, sorry to cut you off. If someone's wondering why I just laughed then, I just looked at the comments and it said, "Pedophiles need love too, stop hating." That's why I just chuckled. I'm not laughing at
No, you're
anonymous.
fine. I wasn't looking at the
Yeah,
chat at that point, but sorry, that completely threw me off my game.
yeah, it threw me off.
No, Cal, no. But oh, what I was saying is like, how many people realistically work at Mr. Beast? Well, 100, right?
Mm,
You couldn't find two people that weren't pedos, that weren't sexual
yeah,
assaulters.
that weren't into that. It's like part of me believes like that they are part of like some grooming thing because there was a video from years ago with Mr. Beast where he was in that Tyson's room. I'll just call him Tyson because you say either name, people say you're wrong.
Mhm.
So I'll just call it Tyson. I won't call it though. Call them Tyson. Um, it's hard to navigate all this stuff, but sorry, I'm trying my best.
Yeah,
But there's a
we're old.
video where they're in Tyson's room, right? And they're all kids at this point. They're all quite young. And there's a picture of what I've been told is Keemstar's child depicted in like a bikini by a very famous, like
I think it was just
sexual.
art by the same guy. I
Yeah.
don't think it was that exact picture,
Oh, so it wasn't
but
the, but it
it's
was
the
the
same
same artist.
artist. Yeah.
Yeah. But
It,
that's
yeah,
what I find weird. It's like they've been around this stuff since
for the
before they
longest.
were famous.
Hmm.
So it's almost like they're trying to create the perfect environment so where you can do this stuff. Like, do you know what set the red flag off for me with Mr. Beast was when Epstein got arrested. The next thing I saw was Mr. Beast like, "Hey, so I bought this island," and I was like, "What? You've just heard this news, and your first thought is to buy an island? Like you've just heard everything that's just happened, and your first thought is let me buy an island and promote it to kids." Like I just
Yeah,
thought that's when I was like, "Sum it off here."
I just think I don't know when people, and I think this is true, big scale, small scale. When people are doing good things, but they're doing it to like enrich themselves,
Yeah,
not necessarily monetarily, but like, look how awesome I am. Look how great I am for everybody. Like it's a cover for something. Like
yeah, of course, yeah,
I feel like it's so weird. It feels like it's that. I feel like it's the same thing we always talk about. That psychopath mentality goes hand in
yeah.
hand with that disgusting, awful human being that's willing to hire and overlook somebody's disgusting background. And it's so crazy.
No, it is, and yeah, it's just worrying. Like my niece loves this content, and I was saying to her like, "Oh, his stuff might just disappear in the next few years," and she's like, "Why?" And I'm like, "Oh, he's just been doing some stuff that you shouldn't do when you're his age." Obviously, I couldn't explain it to her,
Right.
but it's like it's mad that she would do anything to go on one of his shows, and I think he knows that. You know what I mean? Like he knows that there's kids out there that will do pretty much, and not just kids, but adults that will do anything to get on them shows, and that's
Yeah.
what freaks me out.
Yeah. And it's when you get to that extreme level of fame, like you can almost get away with anything. Like
Yeah,
how surprised would you be in like a week? I hid 3 dead bodies in the desert. First person that finds them gets $100 million. You know, like
yeah, no, yeah. That wouldn't surprise me at all. Like he might as well now, because people already look at him as a bit of a monster. So he might as well just go into that arc where he's like a clever serial killer. Like you know, that'll be pretty funny. One thing
uh,
I want to ask is, who the hell is Aaron Rodgers?
Aaron Rodgers used to be the star quarterback for the Packers, but he moved to a different team in New York
Ah,
City
okay.
or in New Jersey, but basically close enough. So that's cool that they saw Rodgers. That's awesome.
So
And
is
Money's
he
wearing a
like,
soccer jersey.
was he like the Tom Brady of his day?
They were together, like not together,
Oh,
but
so
they
the
played at the same time.
rivals. Yeah,
Yeah,
like Messi
like
and Ronaldo kind of thing.
kind of like where Brady was the guy who won all the championships. Ronaldo Rodgers won all the MVPs. If that
Ah,
makes
so he was
sense.
the better player, but Brady was in the better team, kind of thing.
Yeah, like
No, that makes sense.
Rodgers got 1 championship. He has 4 MVPs. I think Brady has 1 or 2 MVPs and like 6 championships.
Yeah.
So, and you said Diddy is back in Miami. I thought he was like on the run and nobody could find him.
Yeah, I thought
That's
it was in the
another thing
Caribbean.
that we
Mate,
that we could
well, we can touch on that as well. We need to
awful.
stop touching on things, but um, but we can speak about that as well. Like, I find it mad how acceptable like the Diddy stuff is, but like, I don't know if you know much about the Drake versus Kendrick beef. Like, so years ago, Drake come to England and he met a singer that was underage at the time of him meeting her, and everyone in England knew that he pretty much groomed this girl and like pretty much vultured our culture. Started using a lot of our terminology and stuff like that. So a lot of people went off him, but a lot of people still were like cool. And part of me is just like when someone gets famous enough or popular enough, it's like you can tell them, oh, he's literally a paedophile, you know. and they'll be like, but his music's
Yeah,
good
but
though, innit?
yeah, but
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, but you know, his music's really nice though. It's like, but that doesn't matter. He's a fucking pedophile. Stop giving him money.
right, and
Like,
that's what we were talking about last week with Savile, and how he's so or he was rather so uber famous and well connected. People just overlooked it.
yeah,
It's disgusting, and um, just stop hitting on pedophiles and Vince McMahon. Oh yeah,
you could have just
Cal.
said pedophiles, man.
Right, and just stop the sentence. We
Yeah.
understood, but no, but if we want to touch briefly on the Kendrick and Drake thing, I mean, Kendrick is literally saying like this guy's a fucking pedophile in his
Yeah,
songs, and he's like, nobody batted an eye.
no, and like from
Everybody's
a
like, yeah,
rapper's
probably.
perspective, yeah, and from a rapper's perspective, it's like he doesn't even write his own songs. So how can he compete and say he's one of the best? Like, because to me, like rap is like a sport. Like, you know, you have your pop stars, which I consider what Drake is, who's manufactured and put together, and then
Hmm.
you have your rappers that are like Eminem, Kendrick, DMX, like 50 Cent, guys where it's like what they do and what they write and what they produce in the studio is what we hear. Whereas Drake, it's like a collaborative effort from everyone, and
Hmm.
then that's what Drake is.
His
I
team
don't understand.
writes it for him,
Yeah,
and he sings it.
I don't understand these hip hop fans that grew up in hip hop that are like, oh, I like this manufactured pop star. Like, it makes no sense. It's
Hmm.
like being a Beatles fan and then loving Spice Girls just because they're a group. It's like, yeah, but Beatles were unique. They wrote themselves, they produced themselves. Spice Girls are through together. You know what I mean?
Hmm. Yeah, and it's if I could ask you, like being somebody from overseas, whenever you think of like American rap and hip hop, what like who do you think is some of the greats?
Oh, mate, that's a tough one, right? Because you can look at it. It's like Dana White's list, yeah. Do you go off just skill, or do you go off what they've done for the game? Yeah, so some people could put Drake there because he has produced a lot of money for the game and promotion. I wouldn't. Um, but off the top of my head, I'll go Eminem for skill. Like he's up there for skill alone. And then you look at like him attracting people like me and people like just people in general. He brought eyes to the genre. So Eminem, I'll go 50 Cent because he's just one of my favorites and a great storyteller. Look what he's done since rap as well.
Mhm.
Um, DMX, because DMX had a run where for like 4 years in a row he did like 5 albums and every one of them went platinum. And I just don't think anyone will match that run naturally. Like Drake might with this manufactured stuff and all that, but to be an actual street rapper and do that is quite special. And then I'm gonna go with Kendrick because he's a GOAT for recent times, and he's actually doing good work for hip hop with his straight stuff. I think he's purifying the genre again. And then, ooh, I'm trying to think of someone old school that was a bit before my time because I feel like I've just focused on people of my time. So I could put Dre there, but I won't. I'm gonna put I'm gonna put Ice Cube, right, just because of how
The
just the
cultural
impact.
relevance, huh?
Yeah, the impact he had, like being part of NWA, and then leaving NWA. He did that great diss track against the No Vaseline, which I think is one of the most iconic diss tracks ever. And then again, he also shown rappers there's life outside of rap. Like so, when you get a bit too old to be doing rap, you can go and star in movies, write your own movies. Like he wrote Friday. He was a big
Mhm.
part of Boys in the Hood. So yeah. Oh, nice. Ice T's cool, man. I should
Yeah.
call him Lipton.
Cal says Tupac, Biggie, Big L, Eminem, and Jay Z.
Big L, yeah. Obviously, Tupac and Biggie, I didn't even want to mention because they're like the first two that everyone mentions.
Yeah, and
Big L, awesome.
I feel like eh, those two, like you almost have to exclude because they're the default, like you said, and
Yeah,
and like skill and I don't know. I don't see that they're on the Mount Rushmore of hip hop, in my opinion. But everybody's going to put them there. So if you don't, you're going to get crucified. You know.
Yeah, I think skill-wise, Biggie is. Um, if we're talking skill and storytelling, I thought Biggie was real good. Um, Sometimes I thought he looked so good I suck on his daddy's dick, which was a Biggie line. But I just thought I wanted to throw that out there. But
Mhm.
um, yeah, I think skill-wise, Biggie could be put on there. I don't think Tupac was the most skillful rapper.
Yeah, I think he was
And
a storyteller kind of a thing. Like that was
I
his
think
poetry.
Tupac, yeah, was closer to Drake than what people realize. Like Tupac wasn't this thug, this gangster, this madman. He
He
was
went
a
to like an
college
art
art
school.
student,
Yeah.
yeah, dancing about with Jada Pickett Smith and all that. So, like I I love Tupac, but when I grew up and become an adult and became older than what Tupac was when he died, sadly enough, I realized, wow, that was a young man still trying to discover who his character was. Like, does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I
So,
definitely understand that. Like he was a performer. Like you said, he went to an art school. Like, and if you see his interviews are way different than his like
yeah,
street thug persona. I don't know. And then he was obviously
yeah,
um, doing acting, and it's just interesting. RZA,
yeah,
how's the
RZA.
chicken tikka treating you, muddy?
Do you know what? I've not had one for a little while, but I need to get one. Yeah, do you know what my favorite curry is right now is a mosala, which is spelled Mosala. Like it's real
Um,
spicy, real nice. I don't know if
I
you've
thought you were
heard of
gonna
that
say
one.
chili beef.
Nah, chili beef's nice, but you know what? I got in trouble. I did that, and then Chinese people sent me a virus for being rude against them. So yeah.
Oh man.
But Entertain said RZA, like, you know what? You could put a few of the Wu-Tang guys on a top five list. Like you could literally just name your five favorite Wu-Tang like members, and that could be your top five. Like RZA, Jizza, Method Man, like Ghostface Killer did great albums. Yeah, I can't think now off the top of my head. There's so
Uh,
many of them.
so to, I haven't named mine, but if I had to,
Go on.
Tech Nine would be in my top. He'd
Yeah,
be on my Mount Rushmore.
yeah.
Just pure talent. Like how many?
Independent as well.
Never had a label. Like did it all himself. His music is in like movies and like it's everywhere. Like you don't even realize it's Tech Nine until somebody shouts Tech Nine.
Yeah,
Like Tech Nine would definitely be in my like goat hip hop stars of all time. Um, Lil Wayne for me
yeah,
because he's just done it for so long and just the way he can piece words together. Like for me, I'm a big Lil Wayne fan, and I just think he definitely deserves to be up there. Eminem, because of cultural relevance, should be on there. Like he brought and he made rap and hip hop like accessible to people like me. Like when I was growing up, like oh, this is white guy's a rapper. Like you didn't really hear of it that often, and now you have a lot more people in the industry because of him, like directly because of him.
hmm
And then trying to think of like who I listened to growing up, like when I was really big into music, and my brother, we'd be listening to music every day, and we'd be jamming out, and like, would you put Dre on there just because of how many people he brought
yeah.
to the industry, and
I would, yeah. Like the only
but
reason I went for Ice Cube over Dre is because Ice Cube's a writer,
mm,
But Dre has been like he's part of NWA and then everything he's done
produces
since. Yeah,
so much music, and
yeah.
then
And what I like about Dre is he has people write for him, but he never gets them to write. I'm the greatest rapper. Like Drake always has people put that in his verses for him, which I think you can't say that if someone's writing for you. Where Dre never plays that line. Like Kanye doesn't ever play that line either. Like I'm the greatest rapper alive. You know what I mean?
yeah, that was going to be my last of my top five is definitely Kanye. Not just because of how many great albums he's made, but like all the beats he's produced and all the people
Yeah,
he's brought along with him, like Kid Cudi. Like I absolutely love Kid Cudi, and that's a direct result of Kanye West.
Yeah, Kid Cudi's one of my favorites. But yeah,
So
knocking on the window then.
are you being swatted?
I hope not. If anything, it's just some crackhead opportunist.
The lights are on. No.
Yeah, well, that's it. I've got shutter blinds, so they're probably just trying to see. Like, I live on in a rough area, so it probably is someone just checking the fucking window.
Oh yeah, jeez Louise. But yeah, I think that would be my top five goated. Um,
Yeah,
Obviously, I have a
no,
lot more
that's it.
from when I was younger because I don't really listen to
Yeah,
music too much anymore. But so if
that's it.
anybody
I
new
could have
has
give
come
you,
along,
yeah, exactly. I could have give you an English one and an American one, or like an American one and a non-American one, like because every day it almost changes. Like one day I'll be sat there listening to like Cal mentioned Big L. Like one day I'll be listening to him or I'll listen to Big Pun, like and then I'll be like, oh yeah, these were so ahead of their time. Like they're definitely on my top five, and then I'll forget about them and listen to Method Man, and then I'll be like, oh, he's so smooth with it. He's definitely in the top five, and then I'll listen to Busta Rhymes, and I'm like, oh yeah, that Jamaican influence and that flow and that reggae cat kind of style that he has. Like, yeah, he's definitely up there. So I could give you five top fives. Like, you know what I mean?
right? It just depends on the day of the week, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And what
and
you're kind of in the mood for at the time. Rap
yeah, I
now
know
is
H.
mumble rap.
I know H. I'm not a big fan of him. He's a good rapper. I'm not saying he's a bad rapper, but every one of his tracks is the same. It's all about like just buying things for girls. It's like, oh, I bought this girl a bag. Oh, I bought this girl a car. Oh, I bought this girl. He's a rapper from Manchester, if you're wondering. Um, but yeah, I know him. A lot of people say I sound like him. Like when I'm on Xbox, like a lot of the time, people are like, "Yo, is that H?" And I'm like, "No,
You
it's
should
not
play
H."
into it, man.
Nah, I used to a little bit, but he's younger than me and that, so it just seems a bit weird. Like,
Yeah, it's for me. It's weird that we are like. I mean, I'm 38. Oh, I'll be 38 this year. Sorry, I'm 37.
yeah, I do that. Yeah, I keep telling people I'm 35 and I'm 34, really.
So a lot of the new stuff, I'm like, man, this just isn't that good. You know, I'm at the
Mm.
age where I'm starting to hate anything that's
Yeah,
new.
like my dad was. Yeah, it's like my dad used to say that, like, oh, they're just talking, like, and now I'm looking at mumble rap, like, oh, they're just mumbling. So yeah, it's a funny one. Like sometimes I do think that is what happens is you end up just loving stuff that you're nostalgic towards, and then you struggle to gain that
Mhm.
nostalgia towards the new stuff because you're always going back to the old stuff. Yeah,
October.
Christmas Day. Yeah, check Cal. He's got a little calendar, hasn't he? That's what his name's
Yeah,
short for, really. His name's
calendar.
calendar.
Yeah, no, it's October though. Very close.
Yeah, mine is actually, well, depends what country you live in, but it's Christmas Day in the UK, 25th.
Earl's sweatshirt is weird but super talented. I mean, you could say that about a few people, like
Yeah,
Tyler,
I
the
like those
creator.
sweatshirts. Yeah, like that
Ty-
whole Loiter gang are like funny.
yeah, I like how this kind of evolved into a hip hop thing, and we had no intention. We had that was not in our
Oh,
notes
it's not
at
even in
all.
the notes. But no, I like that as well because to be honest, I didn't know if you were into hip hop and that. So like I I'm I grew up obsessed with it.
Yeah,
Like, do you know what? If if I want to tell you, I can remember exactly why I was obsessed with it because I loved animals growing up, right? And the two most famous videos when I was like three, four, five was Snoop Doggy Dogg, where he turns into the Doberman, and it was also Sorry Miss Jackson. And in the video of Sorry Miss Jackson, there's a lot of dogs just running around, like I think to try and depict like it's a rough area. So I was just obsessed with the dogs. And then when I grew up, I became obsessed with the songs that were connected to these dog videos. And that's how I got into rap, was just I was obsessed with dogs.
That's an interesting. Yeah, I mean, we talked last week. I don't really listen to music at all, but um, when I was younger, because specifically my brother, like that was he was obsessed with music. He was always in the music scene. All of his friends were in bands. He was always like trying to do something musically. So his influence on me was really heavy. So I never really got into it as much as he did, but like obviously being that was my best friend, so just that influence on me, and then
Yeah,
whatever.
like same it. Like where I live, there's no like you'd think Oasis and that was big where I lived. It wasn't really. It was more like American music, like Black American music to be more specific. So I grew up with more like Dr. Dre, Outkast, Beyonce, Destiny's Child, Erykah Badu, like Bob Marley to go further back, Marvin
Mm.
Gaye, Jacko, like so I was just more. It was just part of where I was growing up anyway. Like my girlfriend who was mixed race, funnily enough, she's half African. She grew up in quite a white area, so all her music was all like white bands like Busted and That Fly. And I remember laughing when she said this straight away because I was like, wait, so in our relationship, you're the one that listens to all the white music, and I'm the one that listens to all the black music, and like it used to make
Yeah,
us
it's just
laugh.
funny.
I
So
what do you mind if I answer a question in the chat real
yeah,
quick?
there's two questions, or there's a question and a statement. But go ahead.
Right, so the Chandler one, I don't like Chandler, so
So can we say it?
um,
Can we say it?
yeah,
Fuck Michael Chandler.
fuck you, Chandler. Right, we've got to do that every episode.
Every episode we sneak in a
Yeah,
fuck you, Michael Chandler.
until he
Um,
comes on, and if he never comes on, I just get to say fuck you, Michael Chandler once a week, so it's all good. Um, why is Michael Chandler? This is a question in the chat, Rick
mm,
Allen. Why is Mike Chandler so obsessed with adopting black kids specifically, bro? What is your theory on that? You know what's funny, right? I did watch a video that like did a theory on it, and the more I watched this video, the more I thought actually kind of makes a bit of sense. So it's almost I think he's a bit of like a white knight, and I think it's almost like these guys don't get raised properly, so I'm gonna raise them properly. Like from his perspective, that's what I think.
I
So
think it's
I
modern
don't
day white
know.
man's burden.
Yeah, like the Christians, like oh, don't abort them, we'll raise them, kind of.
Mm.
You know, I just feel like he's proving a point with it. I hope he's not, because we're talking about two guys here. But
Well, here's what I will say to that, and this will probably tell you a few my political leanings and stuff, but um, if there are an overabundance of kids that need to be adopted and issues, there are underlying things we need to fix before we're worrying about who's getting adopted. Because kids need to
yeah,
be
that's a good
adopted,
point.
period.
Yeah,
Right? Like kids need good homes. So why are we obsessed with what color the kid is who needs a
yeah.
home?
The one thing I will say to combat that is he adopted one, and he was like, "Oh yeah, we don't care about color. We're not raising him to be black or whatever. We're just raising him to be a man." And then all of a sudden, he was desperately trying to find another black kid to adopt, which I think, well, if you're raising him in this colorless world,
Sure. Mm-hmm.
then why does he need a brother that looks like him? Like, do you know
Yeah,
what I mean?
if that's the position you're going to take, is that we're raising this person, to be colorless and all. But like, I get that for sure. But I would say he was wrong for
Why
saying that,
does
because like
yeah,
if you have a kid, you want that kid to have a sibling, and you want that sibling to be like the kid that you
like
have,
them?
right? Like,
Yeah,
and for him to say, "Oh, we're not raising him like that," I think that's kind of silly. So, but
yeah.
at the same time, like kids need homes, period.
No, yeah,
So
I
so
agree with
why
what
are we
you
trying to
say.
bash somebody for adopting a
Yeah.
kid? Like that's insane. But fuck you, Michael
What we
Chandler.
all should say is, and this is not related, but yeah, fuck you, Mike Chandler. Like, this is not to do with him raising his kids or anything. This
Yeah,
is just Mike Chandler as a human being, as a fighter. Fuck you, man.
yeah, for sure. And I'm glad we get to sneak that in. Rick Allen, thank you so much for being here. I
Yeah,
appreciate you bringing up a Mike Chandler moment that we can say fuck you to. It's totally organic, wasn't planned at all.
I know, yeah. What was the other question you said was in the chat?
No, he said it wasn't a question; it was a statement. He said only terrible people don't listen to music at all. You
Oh,
shouldn't
yeah, I
admit
just read
that.
that.
So here's my statement on music. Music is everywhere. You can't avoid hearing music, right? But I'm not the kind of person that goes out of my way to turn on music. I'd much rather listen to a book, listen to a news article, a podcast, a YouTube video, something like that. Music is literally just all around you. So why would I take my time to add more music? Like it just that's just not the way my brain works.
No, I've gotten like that as I've got older too. Like every now and then, like so if there's a new album that comes out, I'll listen to it. Like, but it's gotta be someone that I'm really intrigued by. Like I think the last album I listened to was J. Cole's Might Delete Later. Um but that's just because I really like J. Cole and I wanted to see what he's doing. Before that, I got stung because Andre 3K did an album, and I thought, oh, here we go, one of my favorite ever artists, and it was just him playing the flute, like literally. So I got a bit pissed off with that
Yeah, I
one.
heard about that.
Um, yeah. So I was at work. I was so looking forward to it. I was like, right, I've got a 5 hour shift. Andre's just done a new album, so I'm gonna listen to that for the first hour or two of my shift, and it was just all flute music, which I'm not saying was bad, but it just wasn't the
Right.
vibe I was looking for, you know. So yeah, that
Yeah.
one threw me a bit. That
Uh, Cal said, Syde doesn't know who Bob Marley is. Educate him. In case you don't know, everybody, my kid is named Marley. Quite literally, that is his first name because of the musical influence of Bob Marley, specifically with the Wailers when he first started and doing the more reggae, older like kind of music that they were doing, a lot more slow with more passion and stuff like that. I really enjoyed that when I was younger. And then obviously Alicia's a huge Bob Marley fan as well. We've got big paintings of Bob Marley in his room. So like, I know who Bob Marley is, Cal.
insane. Yeah, you know what? My dad went to prison when I was like a kid, and he come out of prison a Rastafarian. Partly because of the diet, because if he was a Rastafarian at the time, they couldn't give you like the processed food, so he got like fresh veg and stuff like that.
Better food, yeah.
Yeah, but when he come out, he fully went into it, and we had like Bob Marley pictures all over the place, and like it was just Bob Marley music all the time. Like a lot of his mates are Jamaican as well, so like it's been a massive influence on my life as well. Like my cousin called his son Marley, and I messaged him straight away, like, mate, I can't believe you've done that. I wanted to call my son Marley. Yeah, like, literally, like, we're all waiting to have the first son. So whoever was going first was getting Marley, you know what I
Right.
mean? So
Yeah.
I
A
might
lot of
call mine
people,
Nesta.
a lot of people, whenever they hear my son is named Marley, they automatically assume because of weed or something like that. And I don't even
Yeah.
smoke like at all, so it has nothing to do with that. It's all about the soul and the music. Cal said, "Answer the question, damn it! I must have missed the question. Did you see the
I know,
Marley
yeah.
movie? No, I
I've
haven't
not
seen it
seen
yet.
it yet. No,
I don't
I've not
really
seen it yet.
watch movies either.
Same. I was going to watch it with my
I
ex.
feel like I'm such a boring person. No music, no
No, no.
movies.
Yeah, I'm the same. I don't have the attention span for it. I start like browsing on my phone or whatever. That's
Yeah,
when I wanted to watch with my ex because like I say, she's half African, but she's brought up very white, so she didn't really know much of her own culture, which is a bit sad. And so there's a lot of people like Bob Marley. Like I know he's not African, he's Jamaican, but there's a lot of people like that where she's just heard of him and she doesn't know like what he's done. And I'm like, mate, he brought African nations together. Like he did so much for the world when he was alive at the time. Like you should know, your parents should have taught you about him, kind of thing, you know. So
yeah,
yeah,
and
I was
he
gonna watch
he
that with her, but
yeah, that's he brought reggae to the masses. Really, I mean,
yeah,
when you think of reggae and you think of kind of beat music and stuff like that, like what do you think of? You think about Bob Marley.
yeah.
Cal, I know, man. I'm just teasing you. I know you know about Marley, and I gotcha. I'm just messing. I just reactivated my Peacock subscription, so maybe I'll check it out just for cultural relevance and then show
Yeah.
Marley where he came from. But we'll see.
Just having a quick look at the notes. We've not even got through them all. We won't go through them all.
Yeah, I
But
know. We just hit 2 hours.
yeah, it's been a nice one this though, because we've managed to just react to chat and stuff. So
Yeah, we've had
fair
some good
play.
engagement. Cal, thank you for being here.
Right.
Entertainment.
Oh yeah, one
Rick Allen.
thing I want to talk about
Sure.
is AJ versus Dubois, which is coming up soon.
Okay.
Because I think that's an intriguing fight. I think that could be a crossroad fight for either man. Like Dubois is like 26, so he's up and coming, and you got AJ who's 35. So part of me thinks AJ could jab him a couple of times and Dubois could quit because we've seen that in the past. But also Dubois has shown an aggressive side to him recently, and AJ isn't a big fan of that. So it's gonna be a good fight, I think, this one. And
See,
also a question. Go on,
sure. Go
sorry.
ahead. No, I'm saying if you like, I'm sure you've seen the pictures, but like AJ is so much bigger than him.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
he's a giant. Like,
But the whole reason Dubois is famous is based off sparring AJ. Like,
oh
so when
really?
he was about 19, he sparred AJ and apparently he hurt him in this sparring. So that's the whole reason. Not the whole reason he has a career, but it's what sparks his career off.
That's
But
cool. I
a
didn't know
question
that.
I wanted to ask you is, whose legacy do you think is better in heavyweight boxing, Tyson Fury or AJ?
I guess as an American, I would say Tyson because he
Yeah,
beat
because he's
our top
promoted.
heavyweight.
But I'll ask you this question: who did Wilder beat? Wilder never beat anyone in the top 15.
He was Olympic bronze medalist, man.
Yeah,
That's
AJ
a
was a
big
gold
deal.
medalist.
Yeah,
AJ
yeah.
was a gold medalist.
For your country.
So, yeah, but that's what I'm saying. So,
I'm just saying,
like,
Tyson beat our top heavyweight, like
yeah,
our golden boy. Our supposed to be baddest
yeah,
guy.
but so every time he's fought a top five guy since Wilder,
Oh, for sure.
he's been outclassed. So he
Right,
clearly
but
wasn't a champion level.
sure, but you're asking me as an American who I think.
Yeah, yeah.
If I think
But okay.
logically, who it has a better career, who has more pay-per-view draw, whose name is going to be more known in 5-10 years, I
Yeah.
think it's AJ, like easily.
Yeah, no, I actually think in your country it'd still be Fury, just because of he got
Yes.
the American. Basically, he got the American promotion machine, like what Mike Tyson got, like what Wilder got, like what he's getting himself now. So I do think in your country it will remain Fury because you got like Joe Rogan that just can't see any wrong in him, and like
Yes, it's
describes
Anthony
him
Joshua.
as like, yeah, what's that? Sorry.
He
Oh
said,
yeah,
"Is it
sorry, Anthony
Anthony
Joshua.
Joshua?"
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
no,
But
I that's what I was saying. Like in America, I think it's always going to be Tyson, just because he
yeah,
relates more. He's more likable for us.
yeah,
He's the Gypsy King. And then
yeah.
in general, I think it's going to be Joshua.
Yeah, that's why I was asking because I actually think it's quite even, but I know how he's been pushed in America, Fury. So I did expect it to be just a straight up no. I watched Joshua done nothing. Fury's beat Wilder kind of thing. But it's like when you look at the resume, like you look at Klitschko, like Fury did okay against Klitschko. I'm not saying it was bad, but he didn't want that rematch. He got banned and then stayed away for 2 years. And then when Klitschko retired, he was ready to come back.
He came back, right?
Yeah, like after AJ literally knocked his head into Wembley's roof, he came back. So then you look at how AJ performed against Klitschko. He took Klitschko's best shots, which Fury didn't want to do, which I don't blame him. I'm not saying he should want to do that, like 'cause that's the whole point of boxing. But he took his
Right.
best shots, got back up, and flattened him out. And you look at Otto Wallin. When Fury fought Otto Wallin, it was after the first Wilder fight, so it's in between Wilder 1 and 2. So it's not like a bad Fury. He had him on skates. Like he cut his eye open. Wallin
Mhm.
cut Fury's eye open. Like the fight could have been stopped just off that alone. People think he might have won on points and all this. And then AJ just literally beat him within a couple of rounds, just took his head clean off. Similar with Ngannou as
I
well.
was going to say
And I also
Ngannou. If you
think,
look at legacy
yeah,
in that regard, it's. I mean,
and I also think
obviously Joshua.
you look at how they perform against Usyk, who is the best of our era. This is who we should be talking about really if we're talking about heavyweights is Usyk. You
Cruiserweight.
look at yeah, no, I know, but he's like the modern day of Anna Holyfield, isn't he? He's coming up and conquering it all. And I think you look at how they perform against each other. Not once did you see AJ in trouble. Like, I'm not saying Usyk wasn't hurting him or beating him like quite a lot, but you didn't see him wobbling around the ring and looking desperately for it to be stopped and
Yeah.
all that. So I just wish, for boxing's sake, that people would, when they see, oh, this is the guy that the American media are pushing, you should start thinking, no, he's not the guy because American media is pushing him. Because your media never seems to get it right, I don't think.
Well, I mean, we're always going to push, the moneymaker. I think, in my opinion,
Yeah,
I
I
think
get that
that's
to an
we
extent.
push
But
Canelo
you
so
talk
hard
about the
here.
moneymaker, Wilder never made as much as AJ ever in one fight. Like,
But
so
Tyson
AJ was
did.
always the moneymaker. Now Fury hasn't.
Fury
Fury has
didn't.
to fight Wilder to get close to AJ numbers.
Yeah, but I mean that was Fury off of how many years off too, and he was 300-pound
Yeah, but
monster.
lineal champ. Yeah, but that's why it brought in numbers, isn't it? Because everyone wanted to see
Wanted to
how it
see the
would
story.
happen.
Mhm.
Yeah. Whereas AJ could fight me and it would get numbers. You know what I mean? Like AJ could fight just anyone random, and the whole of England will be watching it no matter what. So I don't know. I I'm just a massive AJ fan, and I'll always find an opportunity to try and fight his corner because yeah, he's my guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean,
Terence Crawford
I, he said, "Isn't Jake
being
Paul
a chef.
making more per fight?" I don't know, man. Jake Paul's a
No,
liar, so who cares?
Jake
Jake
Paul's not
Paul's a
making
liar.
a lot. Like if you look at so he fights under PFL, yeah, they're not selling loads of pay-per-views. Like the last Jake Paul fight didn't sell a lot of pay-per-views. I can't, who was the opponent? Mike Perry? You think millions of people paid for that? I'll
No,
tell you. Sorry, I just need to charge my iPad. The only one that I think did numbers was Tommy Fury, purely because he was fighting someone with an established boxing name.
yeah, it was Fury, and that's the reason why.
I think he'll do big numbers if he fought KSI, but that's about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think KSI is too hooked into like the weird. I saw he pulled out of his weird gimmick fight, but
I think he did, yeah.
the
And
whole
he's too
Misfits
small.
boxing thing is it's a great venture. It's a great money making thing, but it's never going to be taken like legit. Cal,
Yeah. Go on.
when am I going to release another comedic short? I'm not funny anymore, so probably won't be doing that.
That'll be that when his money dropping another track. Do you know what? I'm not working on music, but I am working on two documentaries. And one of them, I'll give you a little preview. One of them is about one of my ancestors that was kidnapped by pirates. And like, I'm literally trying to find a good ancestry site where I can track this person's family tree back down to my mum because I did do in the past, but now I'm struggling. So yeah, I'm more focusing on stories and documentary stuff like that.
Yeah, and I'm focused kind of here on Rumble because I put out stats for my YouTube channel from month like 2 months ago to this month, and my channel has lost 60% of its impressions. So like it's going out to 60% less people. So something happened in the algorithm where my channel's just not being promoted anymore. I had gained like I had gained like 500 subscribers in a month, and then it kind of shut down. So
Yeah,
it was interesting. So I'm kind of focused on this, focused on Rumble, trying to grow the audience here at Rumble, and trying to build this podcast into something cool. So
Yeah,
That's
that's it.
that's
I
where my
mean,
focus is.
yeah, like to be honest, we reached out to each other really randomly, like a couple of months ago now, and it looked like we both were thinking about doing something similar to this.
Yep.
And because I wanted to get into MMA content because I can talk about it all day. And so that was what I was going to focus on. I was going to focus more on like MMA documentaries and stuff. And then we reached out to each other. And then I thought, you know what? Instead of that, we could just do a podcast.
Mhm.
And then that way, I'm jumping into the MMA side of things, and then I
Mhm.
can focus more on like longer projects
Mhm.
for my own YouTube, if
Right.
that makes any sense.
Yeah. And um, sorry, it's hard to talk about. But the reason I really wanted to do this is 2 years ago, I lost my brother, and that was my best friend. You know, he was my little brother. He's younger than me. I lost him unexpectedly. He was 33, and we before he passed away, like the month before, we were going to start a podcast. He was getting a new computer. He was going to buy a microphone, and we were going to start an MMA podcast. You know, and then tragically he passed, and it literally took me 2 years to find the courage, I guess, the I don't even know the words, like to find it in me to be able to say it's okay to do this, because this is
Yeah,
something he wanted us to, or he wanted to do, and this is something he wanted to do with me. So it's okay to do what we wanted to do, because it's kind of like fulfilling that legacy with my brother. So I reached out because we had a good rapport, and we had a podcast before, and I looked at some of our old stuff, and there was a lot of good chemistry as far as the back and forth. So I was like, hey man, this is all private, but I was looking at our old podcasts, and I thought we had a good thing. So if you ever want to get back into it, you know, give me a shout. And
yeah.
you were down for it, and I appreciate it, man. It's because
No, yeah.
I was ready for it. I started to get heavy
No,
like
same.
that, but it's, you
No,
know, I
it's
think it was important to
understandable.
kind of tell the story of, literally, I took 2 years off of like social media in general. Like I deactivated Twitter. I
Yeah.
quit basically posting on Instagram, my YouTube. I was like maybe once every few months just doing something, and I was just in a bad state. And
Oh yeah,
I'm
you're in
back.
Florida, mate. Sorry, I shouldn't joke. I shouldn't joke. Sorry, man.
The original podcast, Cal, was called SydeBoob,
Yeah,
literally.
it's
And
called Carl's Cryptic Wonders.
yeah, it's SydeBoob. It's the same. All the episodes, except for a few, are posted on this Rumble. There are a few that were lost between everything over 6 years. It's hard to keep track, but everything else is here. Cal, your episode is up on here if you want to go back and rewatch it about the cryptids and whatnot. So,
Yeah, one thing as well, what I say is what sparked me off getting back involved with this. We have spoke about. I was going to say touched, but entirely saying touched on things now. But we did speak about it in I think the first podcast we did coming back. What made me start thinking about redoing this was the Mr. Beast stuff
mhm.
because we were calling out people that were on small YouTube acting the way our Mr. Beast kind of goes on now. So like that, I started thinking then when all that stuff was coming out, I was like, you know what? I'd love to kind of talk about this stuff again, and because now we've got a 5 year gap as well of oh these guys were like this, and you can literally see clips of us both saying if someone gets a big audience acting this way, it's going to be real bad and real damaging, and we're seeing that with Mr. Beast now, and
Yep,
like what some people
100%.
expect, and
Yep.
then so obviously that played a big part, and I was thinking about reaching out to Side. And then I was literally, my girlfriend dumped me, which is a bit sad. So then I ended up at my mum's. And then I was about to start doing MMA content. Like I was literally just about to start talking in front of a camera now, like we're doing, and just basically just telling the news and my opinion on it. And then you reached out, and then I was like, you know what? That'll save editing, that'll save this and that. If we just chat about it, like similar to what you said, we had a great rapport. I think we're different, aren't we? We're very different. Like you're very educated, like, and I'm quite uneducated, I suppose is a better way. Like, I don't know how to word it, but I kind of see you as like the straight man, and I'm like the street guy, or however you want to look at it, you know. So I remember thinking, yeah, we had a great rapport, we had this and that. If we could just change a few things that, not that I was massively uncomfortable with, but just not what I want to focus on.
Mm.
And if he's up for that, then I'm definitely up for it too. So
Yeah, and we spoke about that, and I think we leaned really heavy. We leaned a lot into heavy subjects the first time around, a lot of politics, a lot of division, and that's just not where I want to focus my life. Like I want to be
yeah,
a person who's bringing about happiness and joy, and trying to touch on things, uh, trying to talk about things that are more lighthearted and like it's
yeah,
sports, it's entertainment and stuff like that, and I made that clear. Hey, I want to do this, but I don't want to do anything that's making people uncomfortable, because the goal is to have 500 people on Rumble watching, not five. And
yeah.
you can't do that by sowing division and hate and stuff like that. So
And that's it. And obviously, we will speak about like similar stuff that we did last time. We're just not going to lean into it as much because it was Trump's election cycle last time we were doing it. So obviously, the thing that generated clicks was talking about Trump, negative or positive. Like,
mm,
just as long as you were talking about him,
mm,
you'd get clicks, or you'd get people engaging with your stuff because they disagree or they agree.
right.
And but it got to a point where I don't know if it happened to you, but I got to a point where I had people DMing me saying, like, I remember one episode that I mentioned Israel. I didn't even say anything like too bad about him. I just kind of mentioned it like along the lines of they kind of control things. And then someone like was DMing me like, why don't you ever say anything about Islamic countries and all this? And I'm like, well, it's not come up, as a topic like Israel kind of did at the time, so that's why I said it. And then he was like threatening to dox me and all this. So I just remember thinking, I don't want someone this passionate about something that's like not massively affecting my life to then start affecting my life,
Mhm.
essentially.
No, I gotcha. And to answer Cal, like I still post a lot of like political stuff over on YouTube, but like this is Rumble. This is, I mean, I know we're kind of broadcasting everywhere, but this channel is like primarily on a Rumble account. So that's what kind of, I guess, what I was talking about now. So good calling me out on keeping me honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm talking about specifically
No,
on
I
this
still,
SydeBoob channel.
yeah,
Like it's going to be mostly entertainment. It's going to be mostly
like I still think
MMA.
politics will come into it. Is like one thing like I saw in the debate was Trump talking about Springfield eating dogs and cats, like which I think that would be funny to talk about anyway. You know what I mean? So either way, it probably will creep into conversations and stuff. I mean, we just contrast like we spoke about Mr. Beast and Dr. Disrespect.
Mm,
And then I said, I think it's almost a left and right thing. I don't know if I am right on that, but it seems like that. So
yeah,
politics is always going to be ingrained in everything we do and say anyway, like even sports, even,
yeah,
like there'll be sports stars where, like Kobe Covington and Sean Strickland, where people don't like them because of their
because of the
political
politics.
beliefs.
Yeah, and like I said, I don't want to lean heavily into that, like on this channel, if that makes sense. But Cal, I understand, man. Like, I'm just responding to what you're typing. If I'm saying it in a way that makes you feel one way or the other, I apologize. I'm not trying to call you out or whatever, but keeping me honest is important. And the goal on this channel, this Rumble channel right here, combat sports, MMA, boxing, news and entertainment, having a good time.
Yeah, exactly. And like I say, if there's something I think is going to be funny and whatever, like I saw a title of one of your videos that you're sharing about Kamala loves stick or something. That made me laugh. So if there's a way where we can play about with it, make it a
Mhm.
bit funny and light, then I'll do that all day. It's just that I felt last time, I just felt like it just got to a point where, and I don't think people are as violently on one side and another side nowadays, but I can see us getting there again, especially with Trump campaigning and all that. So I just don't want to get back to that point where I feel like if I say something, this side's going to be mad, and if I say something, that side's going to be mad, and then you're left kind of not knowing what to say because you don't want to disappoint anyone. Where, yeah, it's just I don't know how to put it. It's something we'll talk about. We're not focused on like almost every episode. It was fully focused on Trump on it. So
Yeah, and like again, I appreciate everybody coming here. I appreciate you guys hitting the follow button, the like button, subscribing, whatever you got to do. Just know that our primary topic is not going to be politics. It's going to be whatever's happening in the world of combat sports, from slap fighting we started to MMA fighters retiring and stuff like that, and then all the periphery. We're going to talk about real life stuff too. So that's all I have to say
sorry, I
about that.
forgot to answer. It is like 5 a.m. here, Cam. But I don't mind because like he has a family. I don't. I can stay up late. He can't. So I
Yeah.
don't mind it. It's totally fine with me.
That being said, I do have to get to bed. I have to work in the
Yeah,
morning.
yeah, same.
So again, much love everybody for coming out. Appreciate you. Probably catch us same time next week, about 9:30 Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday. We might have some clips trickling up to the Rumble channel throughout the week of some of the topics we covered, from Mighty Mouse to the predictions at the Sphere and stuff like that. So be on the lookout for those. Anything else you want to add to that?
I just want to say big up Kingslayer Network for promoting paedophilia for the past hour. That's what he wrote in our chat. So yeah. No, I do want to say sorry. I just want to say thank you for everyone coming and chatting. Like, this is the first one where I've been able to see people interacting with us and stuff like that, and it's made it a lot easier for us to kind of navigate, and you've given us stuff to talk about as well. So I appreciate that. You don't have to come and spend your time, so I appreciate it.
Yeah. And then, like I said, if anybody wants to join next week, shoot me a DM. And Cal, I know I already told you you're invited. So if we want to shoot for next week and you can come on and we can talk, perfectly fine with me. I'll just we'll get with Muddy and kind of coordinate all that stuff. Entertained, you're more than welcome to come on the show for a little bit and talk some stuff. Anybody else who's watching this either in replay or on a clip or whatever, shoot us a DM. I'm at Sidewalk Closed on Twitter. That would be probably the easiest way. And then you are at Muddy W0LF.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
So
Also, nothing really off topic. Like if you want to come on and you want to talk about politics, just give us a heads up that that's what you're going to be focusing on. I don't mind that. But yeah, like nothing's off limits necessarily. Even if you want to come on and you don't want to show your face or anything
yeah,
like that, I
yeah.
really
There's an
don't
option
care.
to
Like,
disable the camera down at the bottom. We can just have the microphone going. That's fine with me. I appreciate you guys coming in.
yeah, thank you very much, guys.
Much love, and we'll catch you next week.
Someone needs to teach me English. Fuck off.
You wanker.
I know, yeah, you little wanker.